taken over in a split time with Jerome Johnson over the last few weeks. Patterson looking right now, back to the left, airs it out, and it's incomplete. Wanted Derrico, but Derrico was battling Pitoff over on that far side, and the coverage was very good.
Yeah, I think that one just kind of slipped out of his hand because Derrico had a half a step, and Patterson's been putting those balls on the money the past few weeks, but that one kind of floated out there kind of like a lame duck, and I think that maybe it slipped out of his fingers a little bit.
Well, it was Yasir Berry really leading this team early on, but it's Austin Derrico who has come on of late. Over the last 3 weeks, I should say, staying with Derrico, who's had 2 massive performances in the 3-game win streak for the Gauchos, including last week where he went 5 catches for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns in the win at Golden West. 3rd and 10, 11:33 to go in the opening quarter, as Patterson has misfired on a couple of passes, and now the Gauchos face a 3rd and long. They're converting 46% on 3rd down coming in. Blitz coming, good protection, completion, 1st down yardage, and more. Smith out of a tackle, in for the touchdown. Bama Smith from 28 yards out. So Patterson with his 17th touchdown pass of the season, and Smith makes the catch, breaks a tackle, and takes it in. And the Gauchos coming out caution flammable here in the opening minutes. 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. They'll line up to go for 2 again. Snap to Patterson. Lofts, sensational grab. And the 2-point conversion is good. Mailangi, what a catch. Patterson faked as if he was going to draw, then lofted it for Mailangi at the back of the end zone, and not bad for a defensive lineman. And the Gauchos lead it 14-0 here in the opening quarter, 11:26 to go. Gauchos taking advantage of the short field. And they go 3 plays, 28 yards, all of them coming on the Patterson to Bama Smith hookup on 3rd and 10. And the Gauchos, you can't start a whole lot better than that. A touchdown pass, a touchdown run, a 3-and-out with a sack on defense. And the Gauchos have it going in all phases. Keep an eye on the Riverside game tonight and try to give you updates on that as well as they play. But next week, it is looking like the Southern Conference. Liren, meanwhile, with a hole, makes another move at the 40. He's out to midfield before he is finally brought down. Tyler Noble finally bringing down Lyra, but not before he gets to the 50 just to finish the point. Next week, Riverside and Saddleback, and if things hold up as it stands right now, that will be for the Southern Conference Championship here in 2018. So now it's the Griffins who have the short field. Apt will work from under center. Offset eye behind him. Both receivers to the right. Good hole on the right side. 1st down, Griffins. Down to the 37. And it looks like Jarius Burnett on the carry. Well, Burnett is ordinarily number 3. I thought that was 13. But I believe it's Burnett, who's coming off a monster performance last week, 153 yards on 18 carries in the victory over Orange Coast College. So Burnett, the leading rusher for the Griffins with a 13-yard run. They'll go back to Burnett, who's got running room again, trying to run out of another tackle, and he's finally ridden down after another chunk gain down to the 22. So Burnett gashes the Gauchos for back-to-back runs, totaling 28 yards. And now the Griffins getting that running game cranked up. They have a 1st and 10 at the Saddleback 22-yard line. Trying to answer back here after the Gauchos get off to the torrid start. Shipman back in the game behind Apt. who will work out of the shotgun on 1st and 10. Davis on late. Now the Griffins are ready. Apt looking right, and it's a good thing he overthrew that ball. He was looking for Summers, and Williams had very good coverage, and if that ball was delivered on the money, Williams might still be running with it.
And everybody, we'd like to apologize for some of the difficulties we have. There's some technical issues with YouTube. We have it fixed. Unfortunately, the original link that we had for this game is now not working. So what we were streaming live to our regular YouTube channel. We are streaming live right now, Grossmont and Saddleback. Friends and family, if you know anybody, get the link out, and we'll be able to bring you this game live here from Mission Viejo.
Meanwhile, Shipman is stood up, no gain on the play. Well, they might have given him a little progress. Down to the 26. So a 3rd and 9 for the Griffins, who come in converting just 33% on 3rd down. 3 wide receivers to the near side. Now Davis goes in motion. Apt dropping back, setting up the screen, and he does. 25-20 down to the 15-yard line. And inside the 10, down to the 7-yard line. Terrific call as they find Shipman on the screen. Kafensis finally bringing down Shipman, but not before. He picks up 19 yards, and the Griffins convert the 3rd down, and now they have it 1st and goal at the 7. Nice job by Apt setting up that screen as the Gauchos got caught coming on the blitz. Left side, inside the 5. Burnett on the carry. Got down to about the 4-yard line. Tonkovic, the first to get there. So a 4-yard run sets up 2nd and goal from the 3. This is a nice answer by the Griffins, who went 3 and out quickly on their first drive. But they put together a nice drive behind the running of Burnett. Burnett trying to run through a tackle of Milangi, and he's not going to do it. He managed to pick up a yard down to the 2, where it'll be 3rd down and goal for Grossmont. Couple of substitutions for the Gauchos. Needless to say, if the Griffins hope to keep up with the Gaucho offense, they're going to need touchdowns in the red zone. They can't settle for field goals, and they face a 3rd down now with the football resting at the Saddleback 2-yard line. Full house backfield, quick snap. Burnett over his right guard, met at the line, still churning his legs, and with second effort, Burnett gets in for the touchdown. Jarius Burnett, 7th rushing touchdown of the season, and that is just a tremendous individual effort from Burnett, who was really stoned at the line, but kept pushing and managed to get the ball over the goal line for the touchdown, and the Griffins have answered back and now trail at 14-6. Here comes Albertson for the point after. Kick is up, and it's good, so Albertson puts it through, and the Griffins have answered back. They go 50 yards with Burnett finishing it off from 2 yards out. 14-7 Saddleback. We're just underway here in the first quarter, 7:51 to go. Saddleback with the 14-7 lead. Smith and Johnson back deep for the Gauchos. Check that. Looks like Johnson and Noble back deep. Here's the approach. Albertson, end-over-end kick. Taken at the goal line. Out to the 15, 20, 25. Open field. A big return for the Gauchos. Out to midfield and more. Finally forced out of bounds. That was Curtis Jackson on the return, waiting to see where they're going to spot it as he took it down the far side. But a big return, and let's see if there does appear to be a flag down back at about the 15-yard line of Saddleback, so one has to assume that a major portion of this return is coming back. Let's wait and see where they spot it, but right now they're setting up, at the Saddleback 9-yard line, so there's about a 50-yard penalty on the Gauchos, and instead of outstanding field position, the blocking in the back call will set them up at the 7-yard line. So Patterson now will have a long field to work with Saddleback leading at 14-7. Handoff straight up the middle and a gain of about 3. Jefferson on the carry.
Sorry about that, folks. Had to take a little break from my color job there.
You had to step in and do some of the technical work as well. Is there nothing this man can't do? 2nd and 7. Patterson screens it out, and a minimal gain. Ryder Lynch with the reception.
I didn't even see how they scored. How'd Grossmont get down the field and score?
Well, it was a healthy dose of Jarius Burnett.
Well, we kind of knew there was going to be some scoring. We're only midway through the first quarter. There's already been 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. A 3rd down and 7. Or I should say, yes, 3rd and 7. As Lynch ends up with no gain on that reception. And some movement on the line. Looks like Kyrie Woods into the neutral zone. And this is going to give the Gauchos 5 yards. And 3rd and 7 becomes 3rd and 2.
Yeah, it's the 3rd time they've jumped off sides in this game, and the first one cost them a first down. The second one, the Gauchos declined because they got a first down on their own, and this one here is awfully painful because now it's 3rd and very manageable at 3rd and 3.
Yeah, a chance to get off the field and potentially get outstanding field position. Instead, it's a 3rd and a long 2. Reeves in motion. Patterson looking right, screens it out, and it's dropped. Jefferson can't quite find the handle. And that's the Gauchos maybe giving one back there because it looked like Jefferson had enough for the first down there if he can bring that ball in.
Yeah, that's a
and
costly
instead,
drop.
Here comes the punting unit, and the Griffins, who just had a very good drive, will get it back, presumably with very good field position.
Got to make that play right there. I mean, that ball hit him right in the chest, and it was a clear-cut case of just running before he had the football. You could see his eyes turn downfield.
Yep, Bryson Collins was closing in, but he was still a few yards away. I think Jefferson, no doubt, should come up with that football. But the drop will bring on Harrison Avila. Timeout taken. We'll step aside. 14-7. 6:23 to go in the opening quarter. Saddleback football on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Harrison Avila on to punt. The way the Gauchos looked on the first couple of drives, you wondered if we were going to see Harrison Avila at all tonight, but the Griffins give him a lot of credit. Stood up there, they get the 3 and out, and here's Avila. High kick, Lira moving in, takes it at the 49 of Grossmont, and he's quickly pushed out of bounds after a return of 3 yards, but the Griffins come out of it with very good field position. They'll have it at the Saddleback 48-yard line, 1st down and 10. 6:15 remaining in the opening quarter.
Yeah, again, we talked about it when the Gauchos started at the 28, and the 48's pretty good starting field position, and the Gauchos have kind of let Grossmont stick around in this football game. They had a 14-0 lead early and looked like it was going to be blowout city, and things have changed.
Well, we talked about in our earlier coverage that the Gauchos have been very stout against the run this season. Apt on play action, has a man, but it's incomplete.
Wow, he was wide open there. And
yeah, looking for Rosar, and he had a step or two And Apt just got a little too much air under that throw, but they had the Gaucho defense burned. Getting back to the original point, though, the Gauchos have been very good against the run this season, averaging just 2.6 yards per carry, our opponents of Saddleback on the season. But you have to give Grossmont a lot of credit the way that they ran through this Gaucho defense, as well as anybody has since the Mount Sac game, which we had earlier. And the Mounties also gave the Gauchos a lot of trouble. But generally, they've been very good. Pitch back to Burnett. He's in some trouble behind the line. He is going to be dropped for a loss.
Well, Grossmont's got one of the better tackles in Southern California, and Jay Williams, number 77 guy over there on the left-hand side. He's got about 7 or 8 different offers. I think he picked up 2 or 3 more this week from teams like, I believe it was Old Dominion was out offering just about everybody on the streets this week, and I think he got another one maybe from Georgia State. But Jay Williams is a good-looking player over there at left tackle, and I'd just stick right behind that guy right there.
Well, it was Leo Tomba that was a very good-looking player on the last carry, hitting Burnett for a loss of a couple. And 3rd and long, Apt looking right, sideline throw, looking for Rosar, who makes the catch, but it looks like he's about a yard short of the first down marker. He's at the 40. So that'll bring up a 4th down and 2 and decision time for Michael Jordan on that Grossmont sideline.
Yeah, I think when you're 1-7, I don't think there's much of a decision to make. I think you go for it. It doesn't appear as if Grossmont is going to really stop the Gauchos all too often on offense, so I think it's a pretty easy decision for the Griffins.
They're 6 of 19 on 4th down this season. They'll go for it here on a 4th and 2. Burnett off tackle on the right side, and a touchdown saving tackle at the 30.
Yeah, that was
Colton Larseval.
Larseval saved 6 right there because he broke containment. The Gauchos were all bunched up at the line of scrimmage, and they're trying to stop that play and get the ball back. And the problem is if there's any type of hole at all, it's danger time. And
Jarius Burnett is fast approaching 50 yards on the ground here in the opening quarter. He's up over 40 with a touchdown. 4:34 to go, and a 1st and 10 for Grossmont at the Saddleback 29. Apt looking left in the flat, completes. Linton down to the 23 before he is brought down by a couple of Gaucho tacklers. Larseval with a little help from Cincino.
It can be kind of difficult at times if you're a defense and you've never seen a guy play quarterback. I mean, you get a guy like App, there's not a lot of film out there, and you don't really know what he feels comfortable running, and the coaches on the other side, they do know what he feels comfortable running. So it takes a little while to figure out a guy.
Well, I think the book on Apt as we look at him in the first quarter is I like the game management. It's been a nice comeback after a very tough opening possession. This was a guy who was thrust in to this position here, the 3rd string quarterback on the depth chart when the season started, but here he is playing. Doesn't appear to have the real rocket for an arm. It looks like there's a little more reliance on accuracy on his throws. But I think so far, I think he's receiving more than a passing grade. They got 7 points on the board, and they're on the move.
Yeah, if he could have had the one back about 5 plays ago where the guy was wide open downfield, he had plenty of rocket arm on that one.
Yeah,
unfortunately, a little too much.
Yep. They'll overload the far side, will the Griffins, on 2nd down and 8. Shipman back in the game, in the deep eye. And a timeout taken. So the Griffins want to talk it over. 3:24 to go in the opening quarter. 14-7 Saddleback. It's Gaucho football here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Second down and 8. 3:24 to go in the opening quarter. And the Griffins have it at the Saddleback 27-yard line. Looking to tie this one up potentially after falling behind very quickly, 14-0. Apt rolls to the right, throws on the run, and that one tipped and incomplete as Apt tried to squeeze it in there.
Yeah, that was going to take quite a bit of squeezing, too, because there was 3 Gauchos that were eyeballing that one, and I think he's very fortunate that ball was just tipped because we saw the safety come over the top of the wide receiver there at the end, and he could have taken that thing to the house.
Yeah, that was full-on bracket coverage right there. And Apt, luckily, gets enough on the throw that it falls incomplete. 3rd down and 8. As the Griffins break the huddle, Shipman, the lone setback, receivers left and right for Brady Apt. Short drop for Apt. Pop flies to far side, and it's incomplete. Looking for Davis.
Yeah, that ball was dead from the beginning. You could see Tyler Noble was reading that play pretty quickly, and he had blanket coverage on the wide receiver out there. There was just no chance of that play executing.
That'll bring on Albertson. He's 7 for 7 on the season on field goals with a long of 54 yards. So this kick, which will be from 44, just inside the left hash, presumably well within his range. Good snap, placement down. The kick is away from Albertson. Long enough, but wide right. So Albertson's first miss of the season comes from 44 yards out, and Grossmont comes up empty after they had good field position and a couple of first downs on that drive.
I'm not sure if we don't have a flag on this play.
Well, there is a flag down, so let's hold everything here for a moment and see what the call is.
The Griffins are walking to the sideline, so I think it might have gone against Grossmont right there. Gauchos obviously declined that. Quite a lengthy discussion by these guys, or maybe they're going to go against the Gauchos and Grossmont will get the offense back out there.
After the play is over, dead ball, personal foul, defense, half the distance to the goal, first down, Saddleback.
Okay, so after the kick was missed, a personal foul and a 15-yard, or I should say half the distance, against the Gauchos. So they will get the ball after the miss, but they'll give up some yardage. That should take it down to about the 14-yard line.
What I'd like to see for the Gauchos here on this possession is get a little more chemistry going between Robbie Patterson and Yasir Berry. Berry missed last week's game with an injury.
Yep.
And I think if you're going to go into that Riverside game and really have any chance, you got to have all your weapons clicking together. And, I haven't really seen anything aimed so far Berry's way, but I see he's out there on the field, so obviously he's healthy again.
Well, they've become a much more varied offense in the last few weeks with the emergence of Jeremy Cooper and Austin Derrico. As we join
Yes, sir.
Mike Spada joining us on the broadcast. Good to have you, Michael.
Hey there, gentlemen.
Quick throw to Berry, and there's the first catch of the night for the Gauchos' leading receiver, Yasir Berry.
Again, everyone, we wanted to apologize for some of the technical difficulties. Unfortunately, sometimes you have no control over these issues on the YouTube end of it. We have generated a new stream. We have that going out right now. If you go to SoCal College Sports 1 on YouTube, you can find us going live with this game, Grossmont and Saddleback right now in the first quarter, end of the first quarter, 14-7. Gauchos with a 7-point lead.
Yeah, you can also find that game on the SaddlebackGauchos.com website on the schedule page. I have changed the link there, and if you have access to Twitter, I've also run it out on the Gaucho Dude at SC Gauchos on Twitter.
Meanwhile, Collins with a big hit on Jefferson, no gain on the play. In fact, a loss of a couple, so it's a 3rd and 7 for the Gauchos. Griffin's defense has picked it up here late in this first quarter. Patterson with the snap, quick throw over the middle, and it's incomplete. Looking for Smith, and he led him a little too much. And the incompletion and a quick 3 and out, and the Griffins will get it back. And again, this is Avila punting from his end zone, so good field position likely coming for Grossmont.
And I think we're seeing exactly now why the Gauchos are playing the starters, because they've obviously still got some work to do. I mean, you can just see like I mentioned a little bit ago, the chemistry is not really there right now.
Yep.
They haven't seemed to have gotten into any type of rhythm here on the last 2 drives, and they got still a lot of kinks that they need to work out before next week.
And, we talk about playoffs and potential postseason, and for the Griffins, who will not be part of the postseason this season, this is their playoff game, one would believe how much would they like to upset the apple cart here for their longtime rival and send them into that big game on a loss. Fair catch for Lyra.
Yeah, the Gauchos have really had their number in the last 10 meetings. Saddleback has won 9 of them, and Coach McElroy's been on the field for all of those wins, and he's really had Grossmont's number. And I think for any of the guys that are left on the team from last year, when Saddleback went down there and scored 77,
Yep.
you don't forget those things quickly.
First and 10 from the 46. 2 receivers to the right for Apt. Gives to the deep back and another good hole. Burnett on the carry to the 49-yard line.
Grossmont offensive line getting a really good push right now in the Gauchos. Every single time he goes up the middle, he seems to get 4 or 5 yards before anybody touches him.
Well, running on that right side for the most part and with good success. And talked about the Griffins' outstanding offensive line, and the one thing they've been able to do is run the football effectively this season. Burnett will try the left side now. Pushes the pile for a gain of about 3 before he is sent backwards by a host of Gaucho tacklers.
Good history of offensive linemen down there at Grossmont. Of course, the great Larry Moore, who played for so many years in the NFL, played at Grossmont College. Many of you might remember Achilles Smith, the quarterback that was in the running for the Heisman one time, and went on to play at Oregon afterwards. And
the Bengals.
Yeah, I think he had a cup of coffee in the NFL for the Bengals. And
third down and 3 after the 2-yard run. Offset eye behind Apt. 7-step drop. Apt in all kinds of trouble. He's going to be sacked. Back at the 40-yard line.
Oh, now the Gauchos, I think, are going to get a 15-yard penalty after the play. That's a silly one if it is.
Villacresis able to wrap him up for a big loss on the play, but let's see if the Gaucho is going to give that all back.
Dead ball. Personal foul, number 11 defense, head slap to the quarterback's head. 15-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
So Sagoon Alubi with a head slap on Brady Apt, but it's after the play, but nonetheless, that gives the first down to Grossmont. Back at the 45 of Saddleback, and well, that's about as bad a penalty as you can commit, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be 4th down and I think about 17 or 18 yards to go, and you just giving them first down, you're giving them momentum is what you're giving them.
Yeah, I want to correct one thing, is a big hit in the backfield, and how apropos is this? It's Austin Gadges who actually had the sack on the previous play, so I can correct that, and Gadges, as if sensing that I needed to correct that, was like, well, let me make another play so you can mention me there. So he wraps up Shipman for a loss of a couple on the play.
You can call him something, or you can call him a wrong name again as far as I'm concerned, as long as he keeps getting sacks on the next play.
Yeah, coming off the defensive end. And he hits Shipman for a loss of a couple. And that will bring a close to the first quarter through 1, 14-7 Saddleback. It's Gaucho Football on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Second quarter set to get underway, and a 2nd and 12 for Grossmont. Gauchos scored on their first 2 possessions to take a 14-0 lead, but the Griffins answered back with a touchdown of their own, and that's where we are now, 14-7. Apt looking left, and that one tipped and nearly intercepted by Gage Roberson, and I don't think Apt saw him. So a break there for the Griffins.
That's about the easiest interception Roberson could have ever wanted right there. I mean, Apt never saw him, like you said. He threw it, and Roberson just reached out with one hand, couldn't pick it off.
3rd down and 13 for the Griffins. The football resting on the Saddleback 48-yard line. Receivers left and right as they spread it out with 4 receivers. Gauchos in tight coverage. Apt over the middle on a quick slant looking for Davis, and it's incomplete. Well, I tell you, Roberson was there again waiting for that pass. That one was a little bit higher, and Roberson didn't quite have the same play, but they went back to a very similar play, and Gage Roberson was ready.
Yeah, to me it looked like the exact same play, and Roberson was standing right there again for a second straight time, and this time App was fortunate he threw a little high.
Albertson on to punt. Romy Innocenzi waiting back at his 20-yard line. Talked about Innocenzi's average of 14 per return. The Griffins have really struggled in punt return coverage, allowing 18 yards per return. Line drive kick. Innocenzi's going to take this one on one bounce and immediately be swarmed under at the 18-yard line. A 30-yard kick. And Innocenzi, a dangerous play there, but good hands.
Yeah, the Gauchos were an eyelash away from getting a block punt right there. Lushball came in off the near side, and he put his arm out there, and I don't think he missed the football by more than a couple inches.
Well, a couple of consecutive 3-and-outs here for the Gauchos, and that's an interesting development in this one after the way the Gauchos went right down the field on their first 2 drives.
Yeah, they've gone a little silent here in the last couple of drives, and let's see now. I'd still like to see him maybe get some running game going. I mean, it's just something we haven't seen a lot of all season long. And
Scheiberl in the backfield. They'll screen it out to Scheiberl. Hit at the 20, but falls forward to the 22. A gain of 4. So Scheiberl, one of the revolving door running backs for the Gauchos this season. We've seen Johnson and Jefferson of late take over, but we've also seen Algene Fisher, Jay Cuero, Scheiberl now in the fold as well. So it's a crowded backfield for Mark McElroy. 2nd down and 6. They keep it on the ground. Johnson plunges forward to the 25, a gain of about 3.
Gaucho's just going to try to take the air out of the ball a little bit. They've had a couple of quick drives where they turned it over quickly and maybe grind out a couple first downs here and wear out that Grossmont defense a little bit.
Meanwhile, Deshell Johnson with the stop. So 3rd down, Patterson, quick throw. Derrico's got it at the 30. Pitoff wraps him up, but Derrico dragging him out to the 40-yard line. 15-yard gain on 3rd and 4. The Gauchos convert, and they have a fresh set of downs at the 40 as they continue to work quickly. Patterson quickly back to the line. Throwing right this time, tight coverage, but he squeezes it into Cooper.
Yeah, the play previous to that where they got the first down was just an easy pitch and catch. There was just way too much room for Derrico on the near side of the field. That one there was pretty good coverage on the far side.
It was Lira on Cooper, and a good throw from Patterson, able to get it in a tight window. Patterson holds too long, and now he's going to be sacked. Back at the 37-yard line, they were trying to set up what looked like a double move as Anthony Sola able to get in and drag him down, but see a little extra time there for Patterson, I think, as he pump fakes, and Sola, the leading tackler in the Southern Division here in the National Conference on the season, and that's the first time we've been able to call his name tonight, but it's a big play, a sack.
Yeah, that was just a missed block. I mean, Jerome Johnson, that was his guy, and he just kind of whiffed on him as the guy just went over the top of him and grabbed Patterson by the back of the legs.
Now it's 3rd and long. Patterson steps up, pop flies the far side, and the pass incomplete. It looked like he wanted Yasir Berry over on the far side working against Lira.
Yeah,
the Griffins force another punt. Well, we talked about huge offense, and I still think we'll see it before it's all said and done, but no sooner do we say that. It was touchdowns, if memory serves, on 3 of the first 4 drives in the game, and now several drives for both teams with no points on the board, so the defense is really stepping up.
Gauchos had a lot of success early throwing the ball over the middle of the field, and now they've kind of gone exclusive to the outside of the field.
Avila gets this one away. Fair catch signaled for and made at the 24-yard line. Burnett back there to take that kick. It'll be at the 23 So that's a kick of 33 yards with no return. And here come the Griffins.
Well, so far it's a fairly tight ball game. I mean,
Yep.
the Gauchos came out, looked like, the hair was on fire for a couple drives, and now they've kind of taken a few steps backwards here, and see what the coaches have to say to them on the sideline, light a fire under them. I know you got a big game next week, but they'd like to get the victory here and keep the momentum rolling on the win and loss column.
Apt gives to Burnett, sweeping to the left, but he is hit. No gain on the play.
Here's that Gaucho rush defense again.
Chase Bradley on the stop. Sorry about that.
Saddleback comes in number 9 in the state in rushing defense, giving up 95.5 yards. It's been a mystery how they've got there, though. It's been, a little bit of a roller coaster ride. They had one game where they gave up -1 yards to Southwestern, and then we did the game here against Mount Sac where it wasn't so pretty.
Yeah, it's been feast or famine, really. That you could almost say that across the board for the Gauchos in seemingly every part of the game. And App not on the same page with his intended receiver.
You'll see that a little oftentimes when you got a guy that hasn't seen a whole lot of action so far this year. Clearly he and the wide receiver, as you said, one
he was
looking for a zig and the other one was looking for a zag.
Looking for Stevens, and Stevens didn't break off the route as Apt was no doubt expecting. And a 3rd down and 9 now coming up for the Griffins from their 25. Straight drop, pressure coming. He screens it out and completes it to the 25. And out to about the 29. That's well shy of the first down. Burnett with good hard running, but not able to get to the first down marker as Mylangi and Bradley finally bring him down.
I really like how the Gauchos kind of all ran to the ball there. You could see they all converged on him. It was like a pack of wolves, and pretty soon he had 5 or 6 guys on top of him.
Terrific reaction because the Gauchos, again, were able to bring pressure, and Apt screened it out. That was a play that they used to great success earlier on the scoring drive on a big 3rd down. And that time the Gauchos responded a lot better, able to contain that play well short of first down yardage. Big kick from Albertson. Innocenzi is going to let this one bounce, and it will be down near the 20-yard line. Let's see what the spot is. Looks like they're going to spot this at the 23.
This kid's got a big leg for Grossmont, both as a kicker and as a punter.
48-yard kick. Well, we talked about the 8 kicks with a 53-yard average last week. That's a great job of flipping the field. And
Yes,
Albertson
it is.
able to do that to a large extent here. They'll end up spotting it at the 24. And that's where the Gauchos will go to work. 10:48 to go here in the second quarter. Saddleback leading at 14-7.
It's been a fairly slow game so far. A lot of incomplete passes, not a lot of running game going on, and it feels like we've been here for a while, like we should be butting up against halftime, and we're still looking at nearly 11 minutes left in the second quarter.
The give straight ahead and nothing doing. And that looks like Algene Fisher, who's missed the last couple of games, returning to the lineup, but he stood up there for no gain. Kyrie Woods leading the charge, getting a little help from Darian Williams. So a 2nd down and 10, and Fisher is a guy who's had some good success in limited duty and a rushing average of 6.5 yards per carry on the season in just 23 carries. Smith in motion. Patterson on a designed roll, throws on the run, completes to Smith, but he is hit immediately. A gain of 4 on the play will bring up 3rd down and 6.
Good job by Grossmont there coming up to make a play. I mean, they'll give you that one every time on 3rd down or 2nd down and 11 or whatever it was. Now it's a pretty good defensive situation here at 3rd down and 6.
3rd and 6 indeed. Blitz coming, good protection, but the pass incomplete, looking for Derrico. Couple of Griffins in the area, pit off on the coverage. And it looked like Brandon Philo also had a shot at that football. And the Gauchos will be forced to punt it away once again. And this is a significant achievement for the Griffins here in this first half, as the Gauchos have been nothing short of on fire in the last few weeks offensively, including last week where they rolled up 500 plus in a 54-38 win against Golden West College.
Yeah, I don't think anybody saw that one coming, really, because Golden West had really been one of the better defensive teams in the league so far this year, and then the Gauchos just
Avila
put it on them.
With a big kick. Lira takes it back near his 20-yard line, and he's not going to get much on the return.
Yeah, right now the MVPs of the last 10, 12 minutes have been the kickers and the punters.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about Albertson, but Avila's put together a nice season as well, averaging just under 40 yards a kick on the season, and he gets one away there for good yardage. Able to flip the field back the other way, and now the Griffins will have it at their own 21.
Somebody's going to make a big defensive play here pretty soon, I have a feeling. And
Yeah.
you get a feeling there's an interception or two in the bag that's ready to come out for the Gauchos here pretty soon.
Well, it seems that Patterson has been very content to go with short passes for most of his passes so far. And you have to imagine at some point is here's a deep throw looking for Rosar. Leaping catch. He came down with the football, but was he in bounds?
Yeah, I think he was.
They'll
That's a good
huddle
catch.
up. They're saying, yeah, he's got the football at the 49-yard line. 28-yard pickup as Apt finds Rosar. Well, just to finish the point quickly, you have to imagine the Gauchos going to take a shot or two down the field here at some point. They certainly would seem to have the Griffins well set up for it at this point.
That was one of those plays that was just good all around. Good
Yeah.
throw, good route, good coverage.
Yeah.
Just
Give up the middle. And somebody lost a helmet for the Griffins on a 6-yard run.
somebody's down on the field, one of the big offensive linemen, but he's still got his helmet. And
a little jawing and extracurriculars after the play, and they'll separate everybody. Meanwhile, we do still, it appears, have a Griffin player slow to get up. So it looks like an injury timeout here, and they'll take a look at an injured Grossmont player. 9:06 to go here in the second quarter. Saddleback leading Grossmont 14-7 on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Second down and 4 for the Griffins from the 45. Hand off to Shipman over his left guard, a gain of about a yard. And a third down and 3 coming up for the Griffins, and a significant third down here in a one-score game.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, these two teams have had a couple of poor possessions each, and you just kind of get this feeling that something's ready to break.
Yeah. Well, you just can't imagine these two teams going the rest of the game without putting some points on the board. Someone's going to make a play here at some point. Third down and 3. 4 wide receiver set. Apt, short drop, quick throw. Rosar with the catch, has the first down to the 34-yard line before Price brings him down.
Apt kind of giving the Gauchos a little bit of their own Medicine right there with the short outside pass.
Curtis Jackson with the tackle on Rosar, but Rosar picks up first down yardage to the Saddleback 34-yard line. The Griffins, I think at this point, going off just memory in the game here, but I think the Griffins have run more plays in Saddleback territory than the Gauchos have run in Griffin territory here in this first half.
Yeah, clearly.
Shipman off tackle on the right side, gains perhaps a couple.
You get a sense, though, with Grossmont that they've had the better of the play here in the last 15 minutes, and yet you look up at the scoreboard and they're down 14-7, and you got to say, well, at some point they got to punch it in and get this thing to even. They're letting a lot of really good opportunities kind of slip by, and you just know at some point Saddleback's going to put the ball in the end zone.
Roberson with the tackle, meanwhile, on the previous carry. And a 2nd down and 8. Offset I formation behind Apt. Straight drop under pressure, gets the screen and completes. Inside the 30, down to the 25, very near another first down.
That's a good play call right there by Grossmont. They knew the Gauchos were going to be bringing everything, and they just called a little screen play. Unfortunately, Saddleback had 3 guys there. That play looked like it could have been really successful early on.
Fala Tagoa with the reception, and he's about a half a yard shy of a first down. 3rd down and short. 6:30 and counting to go. Full house backfield. Shipman on the carry is knocked back, but he manages to fall forward. It's going to come down to the spot.
I think they're marking him a little bit short here.
Boy, that was a big hit. I think Chase Bradley really lowered the boom. Give Shipman some credit. He sort of turned off of it and tried to fall forward, and this is very, very close.
No, I think it's hard
to
say.
Measure.
I think he might have gotten it now that I look at it a little closer. The nose of the football.
So they're going to measure here. And I don't think there's any question here, even with Ethan Albertson, that you got to think about going for it here if you're Grossmont. 4th, and this would be inches at most. Well, let's have a look here and see what we've got. Just by the nose of the football, they've got it. So the Griffins needed about 18 inches, and I think they got about 19 inches on that one.
That was pretty tight play there, and it was a really good job by the running back because it looked like they had him stopped, and like you said during the call, he just kind of fell forward.
Well, Shipman has come on as well as this season has gone along, averaging 3.5 yards a carry, but he does have 4 rushing touchdowns and just 19 carries coming into this one. And he stays in the game after Jarius Burnett left earlier in this drive with an injury. Play action, Apt in some trouble, and he's brought down. Another sack for the Gaucho defense.
Yeah, Grossmont's having all kinds of trouble stopping the guys up front. Danny Rodriguez that time.
Yeah, Rodriguez just got enough of Apt, and Apt wasn't quite able to shed that tackle. Instead goes down at the 33.
Right, Rodriguez got to have some strong hands because he just grabbed him by the jersey and threw him down.
Gauchos came in with just 17 sacks as a team on the season. But they've had, I want to say, at least 3 here in this first half.
Yeah, that total's going up tonight.
2nd and 19. Another blitz coming and another screen, and this one's dropped by Shipman, who appeared as though he might have some running room, but just forgot the football.
Yeah, that was the right call, and just the wrong execution by the running back because that one could have been a touchdown right there.
Yeah. Well, I think the Griffins have done a good job. I think they're anticipating this pressure. You've seen them go to the screen several times in this first half.
No, they've done some really good things here over the last 15 minutes. The way the game started, I thought they were going to get blown out.
Yep.
And it's anything but that right now.
Yeah, you got to give them a lot of credit the way that they have hung in there in this first half, and they have the ball right now, facing a 3rd and 19, however. 3, make it 4 wide receivers. They'll overload the far side. And a whistle. And a delay of game, so 3rd and 19 becomes 3rd and 24. And that is perhaps significant because Albertson's leg, as long this season, is 54 yards. So they're not fully out of his range here at this point. So Every yard can potentially cost you.
It's such a weapon to have a guy with a leg like that, though, because it changes your mindset. If you didn't have a guy with a big leg, you're probably trying to get a first down here.
Yeah.
Whereas when you got the guy with the big leg, maybe you try to pick up half of it and kick the field goal.
Yep. And you never know. Sometimes that play can turn into a first down or more. Offset eye. Apt. They're going to keep it on the ground, but the Gauchos quickly there. Godges and Roberson swarming to the ball. Shipman never had a chance. He lost yardage on the play, and that's going to bring on Albertson, but with the punting unit here, one would believe, with the ball at the Saddleback 40.
And as good as the calls were when they called the screen plays, I really didn't like that call at all because the Gauchos are a good East-West team. They had everybody bunched up at the line of scrimmage, and that play just never had a chance.
Yeah, and you've made the point, and I think fairly, that it's a little bit of an undersized front seven for the Gauchos, but they've been very good against the run for the most part this season. It's not an easy team to run the ball on. Albertson gets this one high. Innocenzi going to let this one bounce, but it takes a Griffin bounce inside the 10 down to the 5. So Albertson with a 35-yard kick, but more significantly pins the Gauchos at the shadow of their own goalpost. They'll start 1st and 10 from their own 5.
Yeah, the concern for your Saddleback team right now is there's just absolutely no presence whatsoever of the running game. There's nothing there. I mean, they had the one short touchdown by Johnson. Other than that, there has not been a lot there, and they've had to rely on the passing game, and a lot of it has been those quick out patterns, and you just hate to see a Grossmont guy jump a route and take it into the end zone.
Yeah, and no turnovers so far in this game for either team. But this is a dangerous spot for the Gauchos, who for their part have been pretty good in terms of turnovers on the season. +6 the turnover differential. They have just 12 turnovers on the season. And they'll keep it on the ground. Johnson on the right side out to the 9-yard line, a 4-yard run.
That makes 2nd and 3rd down so much easier when you can do that right there.
Kyrie Woods on the stop. So a 2nd down and 6. Jefferson will check in with Johnson in the backfield for the Gauchos.
Notice the Gauchos ran right behind big Terrence Smith right there. Guy weighs 380 pounds. That's a pretty good guy to get your caravan behind right there.
On that right side, big right guard. Patterson going to keep it, and he is hit and dropped. A loss on the play. Woods not fooled on that play at all.
Yeah,
a loss of a couple.
Patterson fumbled the ball after the play. The referees fortunately said he was down because one of the Griffins came up with it.
Well, that is the sort of disastrous play that you is always a danger here deep in your own territory.
Grossmont looked like they had seen that play a few times on film.
Yeah, Woods quickly to the ball. 3rd down and 8 for the Gauchos. 4 wide receivers. Down to 2 on the play clock. They got to hurry. They get it off. 4-man rush. Patterson with time. Hit as he throws. Is that a live football? The Griffins have it in the end zone.
Yeah,
touchdown!
There it is. I think we mentioned a few minutes back that somebody's going to make a play on defense because the offenses aren't doing much.
I believe got an arm in there. Mike getting the replay ready. Thank you, Michael. And let's see if we can watch here. It came off the edge, and Patterson initially good protection, but then someone got an arm in there.
Yeah, it was very difficult to see if the arm was going forward or not.
It was Kyrie Woods who had a big series for the Griffins on that set of downs, who ultimately fell on the ball as well. Couldn't quite tell who got a hand in there, but Patterson stepping up. That ball knocked free as he went to throw it, and Kyrie Woods falls on it in the end zone. We're tied at 14 here, Brad.
Yeah, you got a football game now. I mean, the Gaucho offense has just gone to sleep here over the last 17, 18 minutes of this game.
Well, there was a play earlier in this first half where I thought Patterson maybe trying to set up a double move maybe the best way to put it is a little too much faith in his protection up front, but I think he is holding on to the football a little too long. We talked about getting some of the passes out quickly, but I think he's looking downfield there. That's a very dangerous thing to do from your own end zone.
It is.
And that extra half a second, I think that he holds on to that football, leads to disaster.
It's something else we pointed out earlier in the game. Special teams can be a big weapon, and when you got the punter that can flip the field and then all of a sudden put one inside the 10-yard line, that makes the offense, the playbook gets a lot smaller inside that 5-yard line.
Yep. Jackson and Noble retreat deep to return this kick. And, boy, a couple minutes into this game on the game clock, who would have thought that we'd be talking about a game tied at 14? And a first half that I think it's fair to say, Brad, the Griffins are winning.
Yeah, clearly right now the momentum on their side.
Noble from the 5 has a good lane. He's out to the 35, picking up some blocks, still on his feet at the 50, hit at the 45 and brought down there by Andrew Lira, but a big return by Tyler Noble, and the Gauchos with a quick answer on a 50-yard return.
Yeah, big special teams play for Grossmont earlier. The Gauchos kind of get one back here and finally got themselves some good starting field position. They've been really hemmed in their own end of the field there now for the last 3-4 drives.
Well, let's see how Patterson responds as we get a couple of looks here at the return from Noble, and a nice job. Lira finally able to find an avenue there to bring him down at the 45-yard line. But Patterson, who's been so very good with the football really all season long, but particularly of late, coming off the mistake in his own end zone. Now let's see what he can do with the short field. They empty the backfield. Quick throw to Derrico. Derrico able to slip out of one tackle, but he's brought down by Sola.
Just a little bubble screen there. The left tackle, Tim Anderson, get out real quickly, doing some nice work. And it's just basically that play right there is an extension of the running game. The Gauchos don't have much of a running game. That essentially is their running game right there.
2nd down and 6 after the 4-yard completion to Derrico. They fake. Back to Derrico, tiptoeing the near sideline. He's got the first down inside the 30.
Let's see if the Gauchos go more up-tempo again here. I think they realize that they've kind of lost the momentum, and they do get up to the line real quickly here again.
Yeah, picking up the pace as Patterson has completed back-to-back passes to Derrico for a first down. Good protection again, going deep, incomplete. Looking for Reeves in the slot.
Yeah, he was looking for Reeves, and it looked as if he thought Reeves was going to cut it inside a little bit further as he threw it more towards the post, and Reeves kind of kept running straight.
2nd down and 10. They spread out the receivers left and right. Blitz coming. Patterson with running room. He's at the 25. Running right. He's at the 20. 15. Still on his feet at the 10. Picks up a block. Inside the 5. In for the touchdown.
Boy, I hope we can get a replay on that one because there was some heroic blocking going on by the Gauchos downfield. Everybody bailed on their original assignment. And if you'll watch, there's a couple guys, I believe, 26. Jonathan Jefferson was way downfield. Watch this. Giving a block. Boom.
Oh, that's a great block there. Gets a little help from Yasir Berry as it ends up being a double-team block. And then Patterson, boy, that's one way to burn the blitz. Is able to find a running lane and not content to just maybe settle and slide for a few yards, that kind of thing, but able to find a running lane back to the right, takes it in for the touchdown run. And Patterson, we should point out, this isn't a huge surprise. We're talking about the leading rusher for the Gauchos on the season in terms of rushing yards in Robbie Patterson. So a big touchdown run, a big answer for the Gauchos. 1:35 to go in the first half, and after the PAT, the Gauchos now lead it 21-14. Gauchos back out in front after the touchdown run of Robbie Patterson of 29 yards. So Patterson now with a touchdown through the air and a touchdown on the ground here in this first half. Here's the approach and the kick away. Taken at the 5. Burnett out to the 20. Hit at the 25 and brought down there. So whistles after the play.
Gauchos finally grabbed a little bit of the momentum back there. It had been quite a dry spell for him, but that kick return was really just seemed like the electric the Gauchos needed.
Yeah, it's a great response by Saddleback. They get the big play on special teams, and then Patterson hooking up with his new favorite target, it would seem, over the last few weeks, Austin Derrico, on a couple of short completions, and then to the ground. And Patterson takes it in from 29 yards out. Double stack formation, left and right. Quick jet screen, and now they're looking to throw. This one hangs in the air, back, and nearly intercepted. They wanted to get it to Linton over on the far side, but that ball in the air for an awfully long time, and that allowed Cincino to get back and really have a real play on it.
That was an ill-advised play. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I've never been a big fan of that play. Even when it works, I'm not a big fan of it. You want to know why? I want my quarterbacks to throw the football.
Yeah.
I don't want my wide receivers throwing footballs. I don't want my kicker. I don't want my coach.
Well,
I want my quarterbacks throwing the football.
I like that play when you find out that the running back who threw the ball played quarterback for about 6 years or so.
Yeah, not everybody's Julian Edelman, though.
Yeah, then when you find out that, then I like that play a little bit more. That did not look like the case there. 2nd down and 10. Quick throw from App. Going deep again. Incomplete. Davis, the intended receiver, on the near side. And Cincino had very good coverage again.
Yeah, it's twice in a row he's been out there. And if you're going to complete that one, it's got to be thrown in a basket. And obviously it wasn't thrown in the basket.
1:16 to go here in this first half. But the Gauchos have all 3 timeouts remaining. If they can get off the field here quickly, they've got plenty of time.
Mike
go back on offense.
By the way, Mike Cepeda working hard tonight.
He really is.
I don't think I've ever seen this guy work this hard.
Well, to be fair, when doesn't he? But it's true. It's been a challenging night, and Mike is doing everything he can to try and keep things afloat here and continue to try and get this stream going. And we thank those of you that have found us and joined us here tonight for what's been a very entertaining first half, very evenly matched here in this matchup between Saddleback and Grossmont. Meanwhile, a carry on 3rd down out to the 29-yard line, and the Gauchos will take a timeout. So with 1:09 remaining, that is plenty of time for Saddleback with 2 timeouts here, leading by 7.
Yeah, you got to wonder, the Gauchos think they've got enough time. They've got a little momentum. They want to keep it going into the halftime. And here comes that punter onto the field, the guy that's got a golden leg. And
Ethan Albertson. And he just pinned the Gauchos back at the 5-yard line the last time that he was out. And here he's got to see if he can get his leg into one. Romy Innocenzi waiting at his own 39-yard line. Albertson gets this one away.
That's not a very good kick right there.
Yeah, the Gauchos are going to come out of this with very good field position as Albertson tried to kick away from Innocenzi, one would assume. And gets it only to the Gaucho 45-yard line.
Yeah, it was a good timeout the Gauchos took before that play to preserve some clock. Now they got 1:02 left on the clock. Saddleback also has a very good kicker. You got to figure maybe they get down to the 30-yard line, they get 3 points of their own.
That's exactly where I was going, Bradley. Freem on the season, Matthew Freem, 12 of 14 with a long of 44 yards. So, indeed, the Gauchos have a weapon in the kicking game themselves.
And the Gauchos still have 1 timeout remaining that I can recall on the scoreboard.
I believe the scoreboard says they have 2.
I could be corrected. You might be right.
It's not unheard of for a scoreboard to be wrong.
I was looking at the wrong numbers on there. You are accurate there.
Patterson steps up, guns it on the far side. Too strong, looking for Cooper.
Yeah, that ball was very catchable right there. I'd like to see my wide receiver go up and get it. And
yeah, Cooper already had
quarterback a little bit.
Had a nice catch earlier and a touchdown reception. That was early in the first quarter. That seemed like forever ago for the Gauchos. That was on the opening drive. And a 2nd down and 10 coming up. Under a minute to go in the first half. Well, the Griffin defense shouldn't be overly tired. I feel like the time of possession, if anything, has favored Grossmont here in this first half. Patterson stepping up, good pocket, airs it out, but Derrico's got double coverage down there, and it's incomplete.
Gauchos electing to try and go over the top rather than pick up a good quick 10, 15 yards. Now they got
Sutherland.
themselves in a 3rd and 10.
Yeah, on the coverage back there, but a couple of Griffins back there and not fooled on that play. Well, there's the shot down the field, but the Griffins, for all their aggressiveness on defense, appeared to be pretty ready for that one.
I wouldn't be surprised if for Saddleback here this is 4-down territory. I don't think that they're tremendously afraid of that Grossmont offense. If they could pick up 7, 8 yards, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see them go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, well, right now, really the only thing they have to be afraid of is Jarius Burnett. Patterson stepping up on the run, completes on the far side. That's good enough for a 1st down.
Yeah, and he got out of bounds. That's the key.
Cooper with the reception. Darian Williams able to drag him down, but not before Cooper picks up the 1st down to the Griffin 42-yard line. They'll wind the clock after they move the chains, 45 seconds to go. Patterson, good protection, going deep down the far side, but good coverage again.
Yeah, it just
for
wasn't a
Cooper
lot
once
there,
again.
and we got a Gaucho offensive lineman down.
39 seconds remaining. And Gaucho player down. We'll take a quick injury timeout here as we watch the long pass fall incomplete. You're watching Saddleback football here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Second down and 10 for the Gauchos at the Grossmont 42-yard line. As they help an injured Gaucho off the field, and that is certainly not a good sign. Not able to get off under his own power. And
that's a tough injury for the Gauchos right there. Brandon Smith, who is one of their veterans up there, and got 2 or 3 guys carrying him off the field. That's never a great sign.
So 39 seconds remaining as the Gauchos will make a change on the offensive line after the injury. Bringing on Gabriel Martinez on that right side. Patterson screens it out. Smith at the 40, makes a low move. He's at the 35-30, tripped up just short of the 25-yard line. Sutherland able to bring him down, but not before Smith weaves his way forward for a pickup of 14.
Yeah, now clearly in field goal range for the Gauchos, and I think now you can take a couple shots at the end zone.
29 seconds, clock moving. Still 2 timeouts for the Gauchos. Patterson with good coverage, going deep, has Derrico open. Touchdown, Saddleback.
There it is.
Well, it looked like a blown coverage as we watch the replay, and Derrico and nobody home.
That's a nice play by Derrico, too. He had to make a change, and he had to make a little bit of an adjustment on that throw. And went up and got it, held on to the football, and now the momentum clearly on the side of the Gauchos going into the locker room. 5th touchdown
reception for Derrico, and it's his 4th in the last 6 quarters of football. So Austin Derrico turning into a big-time playmaker for the Gauchos. And just in time as Frame puts it through. 20 seconds to go before halftime, and the Gauchos have now doubled up Grossmont 28-14 here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. SoCal College Sports provides local business a unique opportunity to deliver their message through our live streams and archive broadcasts. Now you can support your team through our tiered sponsorship packages, which include lower third banners, full-page graphics, on-air reads, even full-length commercials. To learn more, email us at SoCalCollegeSports1@gmail.com. 20 seconds to go. And a squib kick sent down, taken at the 30 and out to the 37-yard line. Romero Gomez with the return. And now the Griffins have just 16 seconds and one timeout. And it's hard to imagine the limited success they've had down the field that the Griffins will be able to do much in this situation. Might be content just to head to the locker room.
Yeah, I would think that they'll say there's only 16 seconds left, and we had actually a pretty decent run there for about 15 minutes and kind of let it slip away, but go to the locker room, try to collect themselves.
So Brady App to the line. And indeed, they'll keep it on the ground on the right side. A big collision after a gain of about 3 yards. And I'll tell you, Burnett lost his helmet again. And that happened earlier as well.
It's a hard-hitting game out there right now. Another guy down for the Griffins here on the near side of the field.
Yeah, it's Linton. Slow to get up, but able to get to his feet. I think Burnett needs to check out the equipment here, as he's lost his helmet a couple of times. And
see a lot of Gaucho offensive linemen on the sidelines near the trainer's tent where Brandon Smith is sitting there right now, and all looking over there like they're wishing him the best of luck. Hopefully it's nothing too serious.
Came off by rule. It's a 10-second runoff. It's halftime.
so the 10-second runoff with the helmet coming off during the play, but really no matter either way. We head to the locker room. Halftime here from Mission Viejo, and Saddleback leading Grossmont 28-14. You're watching Saddleback Gaucho football on SoCalCollegeSports.com. start of the third quarter from Mission Viejo. And the Gauchos with a 28-14 lead over Grossmont College. We're on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Jeff Stoyan, Brad Hoyseth, the entire SoCalCollegeSports.com team here with you from Mission Viejo High School for Saddleback football on SoCalCollegeSports.com. And the Griffins will have it first. So if you're looking for some good news for the Griffins, who had a tough end to that first half, they had tied it up at 14, but they gave up a couple of late touchdowns, and now they trail it by 14.
Yeah, the problem I see there is Grossmont had the ball for 19 minutes in the first half, and the Gauchos had it for just under 11 minutes, and yet it's completely opposite on the scoreboard. Gauchos are up by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, if you're Grossmont, 19 minutes of possession, you even forced a turnover in that first half, and still you find yourself down 14. But I suppose on the other side, if you're Grossmont, you think, well, we're down 14 here. That's not out of the question, and maybe we can pull this upset. Let's see what happens in the second half. As Lyra not going to bring this one out.
I think called a fair catch inside the 10-yard line, but that is automatically in college football. You get that at the 25. So I'm not sure why they ever made that rule. To me, that was a silly rule. I started to see that earlier in this college football season, even at the Division I level, where a guy will be standing out on the 5-7-yard line. He makes a fair catch, and you get the ball at the 25-yard line. I never quite understood why they changed that rule that way.
Well, I have the decided feeling, and obviously I'm far from the only person who thinks this, but you wonder how much longer we're going to see kick returns in football at all.
Yeah.
At what point do they just make a decision to simply start drives at a certain position in the field? Quick screen out to the near side, running room for the Griffins. Linton out past the 30, near the 35-yard line, before Cincino moves over to bring him down, but not before a 9-yard pickup and a 2nd and short coming up for the Griffins.
Now, on that note as well, you see so many penalties now on returns. It's almost as if the officials have been instructed, we don't want teams to return the ball. We want them to start at the 25-yard line.
Yep.
Or the guy will try to run it out, and he's trapped inside the 20. And
they give on the right side. Burnett falls forward for the first down out to the 37. Burnett had 60 yards on the ground, should say 63 yards on the ground on the first half on 12 carries, also had the 1-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, he was really the one bright spot really in that Grossmont offense. I mean, he had a little extra burst of speed coming through the line, and most of those 63 yards came on a couple of runs, but he was somebody that showed that ability to kind of break containment and potential to make a big play.
Offset eye behind Brady Apt, and whistles on the snap, and they'll blow this play dead. It's going to be a false start, so 1st and 15 coming up for Grossmont. Apt in the first half, 7 of 18 for 80 yards, and the 7 of 18 seems like not a number that you would want, but it fits in with Apt's numbers on the season. He comes in completing about 38% of his passes, so that's the kind of struggle that has really been the case all year long for Grossmont throwing the football.
Yeah, and the Gauchos weren't particularly on target themselves, but they did manage to pick things up at the end. They were 15 of 26 was Patterson with a couple of touchdowns. And what I'm impressed with on Saddleback side, as I look at the leading receiver at halftime, it's Jeremy Cooper. And it seems every week the Gauchos have somebody different that is leading them in receiving.
Absolutely. It's become such a varied offense as Burnett manages to spin his way forward to the 32 off the screen, getting back a couple of yards, but a 2nd down and about 14 yards, call it 15, coming up here for Grossmont.
I'd like to think the Gauchos, being that they had the injury to Brandon Smith at the halftime, and Brandon's still out on the table, so things might not be as bad as some people thought right before halftime. But if you're the Gauchos, I think you'd like to get a couple of scores here and then maybe start getting some guys some rest. I mean, that might have been a good message for the coaching staff.
So Apt trying to pick his way forward on the keeper, gets to the 35, where it'll bring up 3rd down and 12.
At the end of the day, there's bigger fish to fry, I guess you could say, next week with Riverside. And the last thing you want to do is see a couple other guys get hurt here in the second half.
And strictly in terms of the standings, and we're trying to get an update on the Orange Coast Riverside game going on right now. But even if Saddleback were somehow to lose this game, they're still playing for a postseason spot next week. If they beat Riverside, they would have identical records of 4-1 in conference, and of course they'd win the tiebreaker, having won head-to-head.
Yeah,
so
really.
in one sense, it doesn't matter what happens here tonight. Either way, next game is for a playoff spot in the Southern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to some people, they'll tell you, well, it does matter because if they were to lose tonight and then go and lose at Riverside, that would really kind of jeopardize the potential of playing in a bowl game.
Yep.
I mean, some people put those things on a higher pedestal than I do. I don't really believe that much in the bowl games. I believe in the playoff structure, and to me, when you start the season, you play to make the playoffs and win a state title.
Yep.
But that's just me. There's other people that feel the other way, and they're entitled to that opinion. It's just not the way I feel.
And the game then, obviously, in that situation does have significance because it'd be the difference between 6-4 and 5-5, and that could very easily knock you out of a postseason bowl berth. Fair catch signaled for and made. Innocenzi comes down with it at the 30, and that's where the Gauchos will have their first possession here of the second half. Already leading at 28-14. They've scored on their last couple of possessions. They'll spot it at the 32.
Let's see if I can't find that Riverside City College score.
Well, there you go.
somewhere.
Brad Hoyseth is on it. We'll have a score momentarily. So here comes Patterson. You mentioned the 15 of 26, 187 yards. A couple of touchdowns in the first half. So Patterson has done a good job of staying hot. Now over the last 3+ weeks, he has 12 touchdown passes versus just 1 interception. What do you got there?
Do have one other score to bring you, though, now. In the third quarter, San Diego Mesa's tied things up with Mount Sac at 13.
Well, who could figure that team out this season as a completion on the far side went to Reeves out to the 39-yard line. That's a 7-yard gain, brings up 2nd down and 3.
Alan Hancock keeps cruising along in the American Division with a 49-24 win over L.A. Pierce.
Pierce led that one briefly. Quick throw off of Smith's hands. And it looked like Collins got a hand in there, Bryson Collins, and was able to disrupt that pass, and Smith couldn't come up with it cleanly. So 3rd down and 3. The Gauchos, who come in second in the SCFA in 3rd down conversions at 46%. They were 3 of 8 in the first half, and they fail here on this 3rd down, so they're now 3 of 9 tonight. So the Griffins have done a good job of getting off the field on 3rd down as the pass intended for Reeves falls incomplete. And a 3 and out, and the Griffins get it back. Well, every time you think the Gauchos might start to get rolling downhill, they fail to get something going and give it back to the Griffins.
Yeah, they just haven't been very consistent here tonight. They've been consistent in spurts. You know, they've had quick drives where they've scored on seemingly 5 or 7 plays at the very most, and then all the other drives seem to be 3 and out.
Booming kick from Avila, and Lira makes the fair catch at the 13-yard line. That is a kick of 49 yards for Harrison Avila, who's having a big night here. We've been talking about Ethan Albertson, but hey, don't forget about Harrison Avila doing the punting for the Gauchos, and he has been outstanding. And he creates a long field now for the Griffin offense.
Yeah, it's been a big part of their winning streak, really. I mean, the special teams have played well, and Harrison Avila and the kicking game and the return game, seems like all those components came together at the right time for the Gauchos this season.
Apt under center on 1st and 10. A designed roll to the right, throws on the run, and completes to Davis. Out past the 30 to the 35-yard line. Brady Apt finds Tenez Davis for a pickup of 23 yards out to the 35-yard line.
Okay, there's one interesting score out there, though. At halftime right now, it is Palomar leading Cerritos 28-14. That probably got to turn some heads out there.
Yeah, Cerritos been an interesting team this season as well. They've been very competitive in a couple of games. They hung around with Fullerton in their matchup. They have outstanding running back, I believe, Ramondre Stevenson. I don't want to mispronounce his name.
Yeah, he's quite a player,
Ramondre
Ramondre
Stevenson. He has
Stevenson.
been dynamic in that Falcon offense this season, far and away the leading rusher in the state of California, certainly in the SCFA. So a 2-yard run brings up 2nd down and 8. Apt with two receivers to his left. He's looking left, pumps, he's in trouble, able to shed one tackle, still on the run, looking, dumps it short and completes for a short gain. Linton with the catch out to the 43-yard line, where it will be 3rd down and 2 for Grossmont College. 10-13 and counting remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Try as I may, though, I cannot find that Riverside score for you.
Well, it's well hidden.
Maybe somebody out there listening knows the score of that game. Maybe somebody at Riverside's watching this game. What do you think?
They should be. Well, they'll be checking in. It's a big game next week for both teams. 3rd down carry. Breaking tackles. Burnett into the clear. He's going to go. Burnett at the 10, 5, and in. Jarius Burnett, 57 yards.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden the Gaucho attention turns to trying to win the football game again now. I mean,
well, and again, he breaks through that first layer of defense for Saddleback, and then there's nobody there. They're really they're crowding that line, and once Burnett gets through that initial group of Gaucho tacklers, nobody home. And Burnett's just running to daylight.
That's the risk you run when you sell out on the run. I mean, yeah, they get burned there.
Jarius Burnett, well over 100 yards on the ground, and now 2 touchdowns. He goes 57 yards for the touchdown, and it's a brand new ball game. Saddleback 28, Grossmont 21 on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Short kick taken at the 30-yard line, and now a good return by Cincino out to the 45-yard line. So it's a nice job by Cincino.
Yeah.
15-yard return after the Griffins try the pooch kick, and instead the Gauchos come out with very good field position. And it's always something. We've seen this a couple of times in our coverage across the SCFA, and the Gauchos did have that big return in the first half, but to me, it seems like a gamble that doesn't seem overly necessary. You really give away very good field position.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
I think with that short kick, and I'm not sure what you're hoping to accomplish there. It seems best case scenario, you give away the 35 to the 40-yard line, and that's not bad field position. And it could be worse. Quick screen, Scheiberl able to break a tackle in the backfield. Gets away from Williams, and he's out for a gain of about 4.
I'll go one step further. I've probably seen that play tried on the kickoff 40 or 50 times in my life. I don't recall ever seeing it work. I've never quite understood why people do it.
Well, that is not a great track record. 3-yard pickup for Scheiberl on the reception. So Patterson back to work, and the Gauchos back in a 7-point game now. They can't quite seem to shake Grossmont. Patterson sweeping to the near side, trying to get the edge, and he's not going to get it. Sola, leading tackler for the Griffins, drags Patterson down for a loss of a yard on the play, and this is going to be a very tough play to run when Sola is patrolling the defensive territory against you.
Yeah, he's got pretty good speed to the outside, and Patterson just couldn't outrun him.
So now that's a 3rd down and 8 for the Gauchos, and they could use a couple of first downs here. Straight drop blitz coming, good protection. Patterson guns it and finds Derrico, who tries to slip out of a tackle. He's wrapped up now by 3 Griffin tacklers. Finally brought down, but not before he's got the first down to the 38-yard line.
This guy, Austin Derrico, is becoming quite a player for this Saddleback football team. He's becoming the guy they look to on big 3rd down conversions.
Well, that started with very good protection up front against the blitz as well. 3 wide receivers to the right. Reeves with the catch at the 34-yard line.
For a second, I thought the Gauchos were going to run a hook and ladder there because he had the trailer, Bama Smith. I think if he'd have pitched it to him, Bama Smith could have gone the distance.
So Reeves with the 5-yard catch. Now this is Smith trying to work his way back to the middle, and he gains a couple. Sola again on the stop. Getting a little bit of help from McDonough, Chris McDonough.
Let's see if Derrico again on the outside has been setting up that corner with all these little short timing patterns to the outside. I'd love to see Patterson do a little pump fake and have Derrico go deep. I think he could probably beat this guy. He's got single coverage on the near side of the field.
3rd down and 5. They'll empty the backfield. Another blitz coming.
They were looking
and
there.
Algene, Fisher, and Patterson not on the same page, and that pass incomplete, and that brings up 4th down and a decision for Mark McElroy here at the 35-yard line of Grossmont.
Yeah, kind of in no man's land, 34 or 33-yard line. It'd be about a 50-yard field goal, and that's about max distance of Freem. I'm guessing he's probably more of a 46, 47 guy.
And the Gauchos just 4 of 13 on 4th down this season, so they haven't been particularly effective. But the offense is going to stay on the field. Fisher in the backfield with Patterson, receivers left and right. And here comes the flag.
Get a false start against the Gauchos here.
Was this possibly a delay of game, too? I don't know what the let's wait and see what the call is. Timeout.
Saddleback.
So the Gauchos will talk it over. 7:20 to go in the 3rd. 4th down for the Gauchos. You're watching Saddleback College Football on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Gauchos line up to go for it. 4th down and 5 from the 33 of Grossmont. They send Lynch in motion. Fake to Fisher, complete, and 1st down and more for the Gauchos. Johnson with the over-the-shoulder grab, and then he picks up some additional yardage all the way down to the 10-yard line. There is a flag down on the play over on the far side of the field.
Gauchos are kind of walking back to the, they're going to call illegal man downfield on Tim Anderson, the big left tackle.
Well, it's a slow developing play, to be sure. They fake it to Lynch, they fake it to Fisher. And I suppose that is part of the risk that you run with that kind of play.
And Anderson's one of the quickest linemen on the team. So if he got out of the gate quickly, he may have committed that penalty.
Yep.
Well, now you got 4th and 10. And
from the 38.
Mark McElroy has been kind of known as somewhat of a gunslinger. We'll see if he decides to go for it. I think he's going to.
Well, this is a situation where you so often see a pooch punt as well. They may line up to go for it, see what they can do, but then.
I think Saddleback's going to have to take another timeout.
Well, that could yet be significant. If it is, it would be their 2nd charge timeout.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
not sure what happened here. The Gauchos just started heading over to the sideline, and no timeout was indicated. Now both teams are leaving the field.
I would have just kicked the ball away if I'm the Gauchos. I mean, you got 4th. You got to rely on your defense at some point. You're up 7 points. It's not like you're behind.
Yep.
Your kicker's done a pretty good job at pinning Grossmont back deep in their own end. And other than a handful of plays by Grossmont, really, they haven't had a tremendous amount of offense. And I would just kick it away.
And I think, I suppose the other side that we, was something that we addressed in the first half as well, is that the Griffin offense, it's really been Jarius Burnett, but Burnett has shown to be a big play offense unto himself, so even on the ground.
Well, Mark McElroy having quite a discussion with the White Hat on the sideline. I think he was really frustrated with that call, and he didn't like it at all. It was a big play for Saddleback. It would have given him the ball deep inside the red zone, and I don't think he was very happy about that.
Well, it's got to drive a coach crazy when he thinks his team executed a play pretty well flawlessly, and certainly the Gauchos did 99% of it there. Getting it down there, and then you get the call that goes against you. And
yeah, now they are going to punt it away, I believe.
see if Avila comes out of the field, and he will, from the 38-yard line. And I think this is pretty well a no-brainer in this situation to play the field position game. Still a lot of football left, 7:10 to go here in the third quarter. So Avila, who's had an excellent night punting the football for the Gauchos. Andrew Lira waiting back at the 11-yard line.
Quite a substantial break here in between plays. I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on. The official now going over to have a talk with the Grossmont coaching staff on their sideline. Grossmont might have said, hey, what's going on over there? You're having quite a discussion with my coach on the other side of the field.
Yeah, Michael Jordan wants to be part of the action. He's going to look for an explanation here. And, well, what's strange is, they called the penalty, they assessed the penalty. I don't have the feeling that's what the discussion's about here, but I'm not sure what's garnering all this talk.
Well, I think that Mark McElroy, first off, was frustrated with the call to begin with. I don't think he thought it was a penalty, and then, he was stuck in a situation, 4th and 11, and it was a tough decision, and all of a sudden the clock is running out of time, and
yeah,
he says, well, I guess I'm just going to call timeout. And at that point, if you're going to punt the football away, just take the penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. And the scoreboard still has the Gauchos with 2 timeouts, so ultimately I don't think a timeout was assessed to Saddleback. So they still have 2.
That might have been what the discussion was on the other team's sideline.
Yeah. Just how much time does Mark McElroy get to
Mark McElroy might have want to have a conversation about it with the officials, and he couldn't get their attention.
High kick from Avila, and Lira's going to let this one bounce at the 10. It takes a Grossmont bounce back to the 14-yard line, but nonetheless, Avila, a kick of just 24 yards, but he's able to pin the Griffins at the 15-yard line.
Very effective. Not going to do much for the average, but when you can get your team to start inside the 20, that's good. If you got them inside the 15, that's really good. And get them inside the 10, it's great.
Well, the Gauchos haven't been able to force a turnover tonight. And I suppose if you're a Gaucho fan, this would be a great place to do it.
Yeah, there's been been a handful of opportunities.
Yeah.
They just haven't been able to come up with it. Gage Roberson had a couple shots in the first half.
Now keep it on the ground. Burnett spins out of a tackle in the backfield. Ahead to the 16-yard line, gets just a yard, but he was able to avert a loss.
Yeah, it's really been feast or famine for the running game of Grossmont. They've either broke off a long one or they've gotten almost nothing.
Yeah, it looked like Tyler Wilson had a shot at Burnett in the backfield but couldn't wrap him up. 2nd down and 9. Coming up, Rosar. Jacob Rosar has been the primary target for the Griffins through the air with 3 catches for 48 yards in the game, but the passing attack has been somewhat sparse for Grossmont tonight. 2nd down and 9. Straight drop for App. They're setting up the screen again to Shipman. Shipman able to crawl forward to the 20, a gain of about 4.
That's a really nice read by the linebacker Turner Tonkovic.
Yeah, and then the shoestring tackle by Tonkovic. They're able to just trip up Shipman before he could get ahead of steam going in the secondary. 3rd down and 5. This is a big 3rd down for Grossmont. In the first half, they were 4 of 12 on 3rd down conversions. That's right at their number for the season. 3rd and 5. Short drop. Pop flies the near side. Linton, the intended receiver, but Cincino had terrific coverage, no chance. And the Griffins with a 3 and out, and that'll bring on Ethan Albertson in the punting unit.
Yeah, and that's why when you were the Gauchos and you had the ball on 4th down, that's why you kick it away, because really, other than just a handful of plays, Grossmont really hasn't been a very effective team on offense all night long. I mean, despite the fact that they had the ball for so long in the first half, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's almost a little bit of a puzzling game so far.
Yeah, well, they've had some drives, but they stalled, and I think ultimately, you need someone to make a big play, and other than Jarius Burnett, they really haven't been able to find that person who's been able to break through and make a big play for him.
Here's the odd stat of the first half. Grossmont had the ball for 19 minutes, only had 119 yards. The Gauchos had it for under 11 minutes. They had 213 yards. So the whole first half really didn't make any sense numbers-wise.
This one's off a Gaucho player. This is a live football. And the Griffins have it. Short kick bounces off of a Saddleback player, and Chris McDonough, the linebacker, on the spot, able to fall on it at the Gaucho 43-yard line.
Yeah, I think it went off the back of Cincino, who was just trying to lay a block and hit him in the backside.
Let's see where they'll spot it at the 45. But nonetheless, I don't think that works yet. Going to have Dan Kloss joining us here in just a second. And got a lot to talk about with athletic director Dan Kloss. And he's getting the headset on. And
how we doing?
Dan, great pleasure to have you join us once again here in the Gauchos. It's a little bit more of a nail-biter than you might have thought on paper. But here we are in the third quarter. And Griffin's hanging around, but the Gauchos have the lead.
Yeah, the Griffins, you never can count Coach Jordan out. He's a quick strike offense.
Well, it's a program that you know well, going back to your days on the field. And Apt throwing on the run and completes inside the 30 down to the 26-yard line.
Yeah,
that was Linton on the reception.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to I played there back in 94, 95, played for Coach Jordan as the offense. He was the offensive coordinator at the time.
For 16 years as the offensive coordinator before taking over 13 years ago for his father, Dave Jordan, a legend in the coaching profession. And obviously those close to the program and those that follow know that this is a sad year for Grossmont football with Dave Jordan passing away earlier this year. And he's someone that I know that you knew very well personally, again, going back to your time at the school.
Yeah, Dave Jordan, a very sad passing this year. He's an absolute legend. What a great human being, and had a wonderful effect on several student athletes. Football players transferring to four-year colleges, just made a huge impact in California Community College. And I had the opportunity to play for him as a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, two national championships. To his credit, in addition, obviously, and this is something that we run across so often in our coverage, you can talk about the accomplishments on the field, and they're significant and they're meaningful, but it's what they mean in these young men's lives and the way that they go on and the way that they're able to take this opportunity and help them create more opportunities for themselves moving forward. And that's, I'm sure, the much greater extent to how he'll be remembered and what his contribution really was.
Oh, without a doubt. He was old school, hard-nosed.
Throwing on the run is Apt, and nobody there. And that'll bring up 4th down and 1 now. Well, now this is obviously going back. You played for him there, and you talked about the hard nose, but any particular memories stay with you about your association with Coach Dave Jordan?
Oh, the thing I liked about Coach Jordan is he kept things very simple. And it made it very easy for us to play football. Not too many plays, and we executed well. And he was always getting on to us about becoming good men.
Flags on the play. On the carry, appears to have first down yardage on the right side, but let's see what the flag is, as it was Burnett on the carry down to the 15-yard line.
So, Mike Jordan's been head coach since Dave retired. Interesting, Apt, this starting quarterback, his older brother played for Grossmont and had quite a great season with Grossmont. I think he broke some passing records. So,
yeah,
good to see Apt younger brother in here.
Well, yeah, and Brady Apt, we made the point earlier on in the broadcast, but for those that haven't followed Griffin football all season long, Brady Apt was the third quarterback on the depth chart at the start of the season. So this was a young man that really wasn't envisioned as being the leader of this offense, and he was thrust into that position with a couple of injuries. And he's done a very nice job stepping in, trying to lead this team. Got him a victory last week in the victory over Orange Coast College. So that was certainly a good job as Albertson's on to attempt this field goal from the left hash, and he puts it through. So Albertson from 39 yards out. It's 28-24 as the Griffins creep closer here in the third quarter. We'll step aside and rejoin you here in Saddleback Gaucho football on SoCalCollegeSports.com. We'll be back. Short kick on the near side and out of bounds. So the Gauchos, again, will have very good field position coming out of we have been talking a lot as we're rejoined. Dan Klaus, Brad Hoyseth, Jeff Stoynoff here with you from Mission Viejo for Saddleback Gaucho football. And it's a crowded race in the playoff picture. And the Gauchos still thinking about the possibility of a Southern Division victory here. But interestingly, this game doesn't have a Southern Conference championship, though. Obviously, you want to keep things going if you can, but Riverside, that's the big game next week.
It sure is, absolutely. And if we win this game, we're bowl eligible at 6 wins.
Sweeping to the near side, out to the 45. A solid pickup on first down. Scheiberl on the carry.
I think the Gauchos would like to see a little bit more of that here down the stretch. They run some air out of the ball a little bit, get the running game going before next week.
Now they'll try it coming back to the near side. Scheiberl again with a seam into Griffin territory down to the 42-yard line. That'll move the chains as the Gauchos nurse this 4-point lead late in the third. Well, bowl eligible is certainly no small accomplishment. Obviously, this program has had so much success for such a long period of time, but you go back to the first couple weeks of this season, some struggles in the Mount Sac game earlier, and they were, at that point, they had 3 losses, and the way they've turned it around, it's got to be a good feeling for this young team and Coach Mark McElroy.
Oh, absolutely, and I believe 24 out of the last 25 years, Saddleback Gauchos have been in a bowl game, which is pretty remarkable. Hard to do.
That's the streak you want to keep going.
Absolutely.
Derrico on the reception. Another short toss from Patterson, but Derrico turns it into positive yardage. And another, or I should say second and short. Jefferson on the carry up the middle. Good push up front. First down yardage for Jefferson and more to the 29. Well, when the Grossmont made the push earlier and tied this game up, the Gauchos came back immediately with a scoring drive, and they appear to be well on their way here again. This is a good response.
You know, it's one of those games where it doesn't seem like a lot's been going on. You look up at the scoreboards, there's 52 points on the board, and we still got a quarter to play. And we talked earlier that 4 of the top 8 scoring games of all time in Saddleback history were against Grossmont.
Yep.
2 of them came in the last 2 years. I mean, 2 years ago they scored 112 points. The Gauchos beat them 57-55. And once again, you look up at the scoreboard and you don't think it's anything really going on, and it's 28-24. And, you know, this thing very easily could be in the 40s very quickly.
Meanwhile, Derrico continues to win the cat and mouse. They're giving him a lot of room, and you think, why are they giving him so much room? And then you think back to the first half and the double move where he ended up wide open in the end zone for the long touchdown. So he continues to be a challenge, I think, for opposing defenses as he racks up the catches here.
Yeah, he's been making a lot of big catches in recent weeks. It kind of started around week 3. You started to see him emerge, in particular as a deep threat. And now what I like to see is that he's working the sidelines quite a bit, and they're going to him on 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 6. And he's got a big body. He's able to go up and get it with long arms.
Pistol formation after the penalty is assessed. Jefferson up the middle, modest gain. And he is sent back to Shell Johnson. able to stand up Jefferson after a gain of perhaps a yard, 2nd down and 9. See, Dan, you're looking through some of the scoreboard there. Are you trying to find the OCC Riverside game? We have tried. It's a very difficult score to get.
Riverside OCC. I'm going to see if I can find that. But
Well, they might need an extra digit in that one. I mean, I'm not sure the scoreboard would go high enough.
They fake it to Johnson. Patterson on the keeper. Cut down after a gain of about 3 to the 11-yard line, and a 3rd down and 6 coming up.
Well, we do have a score on it, 51-9 Riverside. So
sounds about right.
So the Tigers taking care of business, and if the Gauchos can finish this one off, it's going to be a matchup of undefeated teams in the Southern Conference next week. An awful lot on the line in that one.
Well, we can only hope moving forward that injury doesn't affect the Gauchos too badly on the offensive front. But
and we do want to pass along a quick thanks to Jason Bossard, who chimed in with the score on the game. So I commend you, Jason Bossard, on your ability to find obscure information on the internet.
Somebody was listening.
That was a tough one, and we thank Jason for finding that one out for us. And the Tigers, as you might have expected, taking care of business there, and we'll look ahead possibly to next week. But meanwhile, as we head to the 4th quarter, the Gauchos still with some work to do here. They lead it by 4, though they are driving in Griffin territory.
Have we talked about the 4 playoff spots yet? Projections?
No, we're still trying to project what's going to go down with Fullerton.
We've been very Southern Conference centric here, staying in the South. But I think it's Ventura. Obviously, seems to have a bit of an inside track for the wild card with the inside track to the number 1 seed.
The Central's a total mystery.
Yeah,
because El Camino loses today. Cerritos is in trouble against Palomar.
That's right.
What's going to happen there?
Yeah.
I still think for that conference title and maybe that 3rd playoff spot in the ranking. And maybe Ventura as the at-large.
Well, if Ventura can win their last 2, they would seem to have the inside track for that wild card spot.
I think, like I said 2 weeks ago and like I said 4 weeks ago, Ventura's biggest obstacle is always Ventura.
That's right.
Yeah. Can they get over the top in that big game that they play? Patterson fakes on the bootleg, and he is just tripped up, but he appears to have enough for the 1st down inside the 10-yard line, down to the 4-yard line.
This is the exact kind of drive the Gauchos needed, really. A long established drive, run some clock, take the air out of the ball. They've gotten a few decent running plays on this drive.
Yep.
If they can extend the lead to 11 points, you get the kind of feeling that maybe Grossmont doesn't really have enough in the tank.
Sola saved the touchdown for the moment, just tripping up Patterson, but it's a 1st and goal from the 4. Offset I formation. The give straight up the middle, down to the goal line, and in for the touchdown. The Gauchos finish it off. It was Jerome Johnson on the carry, 2nd rushing touchdown tonight.
And again, that's got to feel good because he's an ex-Griffin.
Paying back his old mates. Another touchdown run, and the Gauchos go up 10 with the extra point pending.
Dan, you played a lot of football over the years from your days at Grossmont, and I'm sure you must have played over the years against guys that you knew, that maybe you knew from high school or something like that. Is there any kind of jawing that goes on down there on the field? I mean, do you get talking with guys and maybe that you've grown to know over the years?
Absolutely, especially in San Diego. Everybody's an all-star in high school, and then you all go to Grossmont or San Diego Mesa or Southwestern. You play each other, and you know that person. You did battle with them in high school.
Yeah.
So, there's some jawing going on. Fun jawing.
And when you recruit locally, that's
absolutely
going to get some guys who know each other well. We do have an injured Griffin down on the field. We'll take a quick break here early in the 4th. Saddleback leading at 34-24 over Grossmont on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Freem on for the extra point. As the Gauchos on a touchdown run by Jerome Johnson push the lead back out to 11 as Freem puts it through 35-24. So it looks like as we talk about the playoff situation here, that it's College of the Canyons, undefeated, number 1 team here in the South, with the inside track to number 1. Southern Division looking like it's going to come down to a big game next week at Riverside, and Ventura maybe with the inside track for the wild card, and then there is the Central Division, and who knows what's going on there.
That'll be the big one.
And we'll see what happens, and obviously that's welcome news. You would assume for the winner of the Southern Conference moving forward next week, because they'll probably host that playoff game, and that's.
They will
and
be
the
hosting.
playoffs is the playoffs, but that's the team probably that you want to get.
Absolutely.
I suppose.
Yeah, I look at the teams that are going to be in the playoffs. I still think Riverside's the best football team.
Yep.
But in a one-game scenario next week in the 9-5-1, I mean, you just really never know what can happen. I mean, if the ball bounces the wrong way, you get a couple breaks, a couple turnovers. You never know. Maybe Riverside gets a couple injuries tonight, and there's some guys that can't play. I mean, you just really never know what can happen. They're 19, 20-year-old kids. The Gauchos now will, after tonight, if they hang on to win this one, they'll be riding a 4-game winning streak. And stranger things have happened.
And 3 straight seasons in the Final Four here in the South for the Gauchos. So I think one thing is also it's a program where, yes, it's new players, but I think there's no substitution for that kind of experience, even if it's just in the program itself, sort of that institutional memory. It gives you a sense of calm that this is a program that's in these big games quite often.
And what I've said over the stretch in the 3 or 4 games we've done this year, it's a resilient program.
Yeah.
2015 they start 0-2, they win 10 straight games, go to the state title game. This year they start very poorly. Now they've ripped off 4 straight games, and they're going to play for something special next week. And that's been the nature of this program really since the program was started. It's not just since Mark McElroy, it's since before Mark McElroy,
Davis breaks a tackle meanwhile and gets out to the 40 for a first down for Grossmont. 14-16 to go in the ball game. And Saddleback with the 11-point lead. And meanwhile for Grossmont here, as started out 0-7. It was an 8-game losing streak going back to last season, but they get the victory over Orange Coast College, and now a nice showing here in this matchup. And you hope as a Griffin fan that maybe this is a program starting to head in the right direction as they move forward.
I like the new helmets. How do you feel?
They are.
You played at Grossmont. How do you feel about the new helmets?
The first thing I told Coach Jordan pregame, I really like with their uniforms. I like their stripes. Really good job.
Very Michigan State.
It is.
I'm a Midwest guy, I'm a Big Ten guy, but it was very, very reminiscent.
That's right.
So a short gain on first down and a 2nd and 9 coming up, and I think Danny, I know you're always working, even when you're here like at the game. But your thoughts on Jarius Burnett? Have you had an opportunity to see? He's been very, very impressive in the backfield. A couple of big runs tonight for Grossmont as well.
Yeah, he's been doing good plays tonight.
Yeah.
Gauchos nearly had a big interception right there. Turner Tonkovic could have stepped in front of that one, and this could have been an 18-point game really quick.
It's been great playing at Mission Viejo High School. Great venue, great people to work with. But we're going to have to move if we're hosting any playoff or bowl game. We can't play here at a high school per NCAA rules.
Is it the hash mark, the goalpost? What's the purpose? What's the reason?
Yeah, there's a rule in our book that says can't play at a high school facility due to the hashes as well as the goalpost being too wide.
So how did they get around that with Fullerton? Because I know they were playing over in.
Yeah, during the regular season, it's legal to play at a high school game, but during playoffs, they have to move. And if you recall, last year we ended up having to play them over at
Whittier. Yep.
Whittier College. That's right.
Well, I know you're very, very excited about the facility being worked on here, and obviously with good reason. But where are they on that, and what do you hear about that? I know that's very exciting for Gaucho fans moving forward.
Absolutely. We're trying to open up the stadium August 21st, which would be. We would have Mission Viejo High School versus...
A muffed punt. And this one's on the ground. No signal yet. Looked like Innocenzi was back there. The Griffins are saying they have it. And they do. So trouble in punt returns here in the second half for the Gauchos. There was one that bounced off. I believe it was Cincino earlier. And now it looked like Innocenzi trying to make a fair catch in a crowd and never quite had it. There is a flag down. So the penalty against Saddleback. And Grossmont has it with a short field at the 28-yard line.
So, yeah, as I was saying, we'll be hopefully opening up August. We are experiencing some delays, but, hopefully we'll get at least 1 or 2 games in the stadium.
Well, it's a construction project.
Right, absolutely.
Aft under center, offset eye. Gives to Burnett, a little cutback. And inside the 25 to the 22-yard line, Jarius Burnett, who's had a monster evening, coming off 150-plus yards last week in the victory over Orange Coast. So he is picking it up, a 6-yard gain against a Gaucho defense that has been very good against the run all season long.
That was the worst nightmare for the Gauchos right there to turn that ball over. I think they would have liked to have taken it down the field, gotten a touchdown. They could have gotten some rest for their starters. Now they're going to have to play this thing out.
Turner, zoom in just a little bit.
So 2nd down and 4. Offset eye, they overload the near side. Burnett trying to cut it back again into a crowd. He's down to the 20. And they'll spot it at the 19, and that'll bring up a 3rd down and 1. And I think if you're Grossmont in this situation here, just give it to Jarius Burnett. I don't think you want to get tricky here at this point.
Gaucho's secondary has played well. They've covered the wide receivers pretty tight and hasn't afforded the quarterback the ability to really find a lot of open wide receivers. Their really lone weapon has been the running game. And
Shipman on the right side. It's going to come down to the spot.
Oh,
He breaks out of the tackle. Shipman into the end zone for the touchdown. They appeared to have Shipman stopped, but he kept on working, breaks free, bounces it outside for the touchdown. Let's watch the second effort from Fabius Shipman III.
yeah, they had him at the line
Appears
of
to be
scrimmage.
stopped, then he breaks a couple of tackles there. And into the end zone, the Griffins continue to pile up the yardage on the ground. They take advantage of the special teams miscue. And the short field, Shipman takes it in for the touchdown. And Grossmont going to take a timeout before the PAT. And that is their first charge timeout of the second half. And I'll tell you, in a game that might be 4 points here, you don't want to be throwing away timeouts.
Scoreboard says 35-30, though. I think they might have to think about going for 2. Maybe that's the thought
I think
process there.
that's a good point here. Obviously, it's maybe at this point there's still a lot of time left. You look at 11:45, but you get within a field goal if you can get the 2-point conversion. So perhaps that's what Michael Jordan wants to talk about. Well, I was going to make the point is that 3rd down and short, and you just line up and you do what you do and run the ball hard. Is that something that Michael Jordan probably got from Dad Dave Jordan on?
Oh, absolutely.
on how to play this game?
Yeah, Coach Jordan, he gets in that I formation. He'll pound at you, and then he'll spread it out. He'll screens, and like I said, he's a quick strike offense.
Yeah. Well, we've seen them use that screen play quite a bit, trying to work against that aggressiveness of the Gaucho defense with some success here tonight. But it's really been the ground game that has kept Grossmont in this one, and it was Fabius Shipman III who finished off, and now they will line up and go for 2. Shipman in the backfield with Apt. Bunch formation. Davis in motion. Apt rolling right, in trouble, and he's taken down. Back at the 15-yard line, Gage Roberson just blew that play up.
Yeah, that had no chance, really. Roberson broke free, and before the quarterback could even look downfield, he had a guy sitting in his lap.
Gage Roberson shooting the gap. And taking down Brady Apt, who had no chance to even throw the football, so it remains a 5-point lead for the Gauchos. Still a nail-biter here with 11:45 to go in the fourth quarter. And the Gauchos will get it back, leading 35-30. Remind everybody you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com SoCal College Sports 1. Also follow us on Twitter at SoCal College SPO. And of course, you can watch all our games live on our YouTube channel at SoCal College Sports 1. And of course, all of our games are archived on YouTube as well. Again, search our channel SoCal College Sports 1. And you can go back and watch it over and over. Far side taken at the 9. Now to the 20, 25, and out to the 30-yard line. And that's where the Gauchos will start. Jackson on the return, 22 yards. And the Gauchos will have it at the 31-yard line. Well, guys, where do you go here if you're Mark McElroy on the sideline? What do the Gauchos do on this drive?
Well, it's, I would say go and run the ball, but they haven't really been very effective doing it. I mean, I think you kind of have to go with the girl that brought you to the dance at this point. And I'd like to see him get, again, like I said earlier in the game, Yasir Berry a little bit more involved. I saw him out there for some plays in the first half. I haven't seen much of him here in the second half at all. I know he was dinged up last week, but you kind of have to get some rhythm going into next week. You don't want to, take a couple steps backwards here going into the biggest game of the year, and right there they get a false start out of the gate. So
they were trying Shiberl on that jet sweep that's been effective here in the second half, but they'll back themselves up 5 yards. And well, I think the best thing you can say, or the thing that you can say about this one for Saddleback, is that going into the big game next week, Mark McElroy's going to have some teaching points, I think, this week to talk about with the team, and maybe straighten some things out, and perhaps just in time for what will be a very, very big challenge next week, to be sure. Patterson with good protection, throwing on the left side, completes out to the 41-yard line, back to Derrico. And Derrico taking advantage of the soft coverage again for a gain of about 6 yards. So he gets back most of the penalty.
Yeah, what's interesting there is before the penalty, the Gauchos really had the second string wide receivers in the game.
Yep.
And then after the penalty, they rotated the starters back in. So I'm not sure what the message was there.
Actually, that was out to the 42, so that was a gain of about 12. Johnson bouncing it to the left. Now picks his way forward. He's got the first down to the 47-yard line, a gain of 5. And the Gauchos quickly move the chains.
Jerome Johnson's saying, just give me the football. I'm not losing to these guys.
He's going for the hat trick if he can. One more touchdown. 3 wide receivers to the near side. Patterson fakes, throwing on the run, going deep, looking for Berry, who makes the catch. Berry spinning back to his right, able to bring that one in. Yasir Berry with just his second catch tonight as Patterson throws on the run. And Brad, it's like your voice carried from up here, but Berry able to get behind the defense again, as he is so often able to do.
And what really set that up was Patterson's ability to run, because they had to come up and play the run, and it left single coverage right down the middle of the field.
Johnson on the left side as you get a couple of replays on that. That's a great job by Berry. That's not an easy ball. The ball thrown back to the other side. And our thanks to Dan Kloss, who had to take off very quickly, but we definitely appreciate Dan joining us on the broadcast. Always a pleasure to have him here, athletic director here at Saddleback College. So Berry with the reception. They try to screen it out, going back to Berry, and that one overthrown.
That one a little off the mark right there. Berry, I think he got confused with the big wide receiver on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
Derrico.
Well, Derrico and Cooper, a little more height over on the other side, and Berry not able to get the vertical to get that one. A 3rd down and 8 coming up now from the 13-yard line of Grossmont. Patterson working from the pistol formation. He has Jefferson behind him. Under 10 minutes to go in the game. Patterson looking left, screens it out and completes. Smith tripped up short of the first down, a gain of about 6.
That's a heck of a play by the corner out there on the far side of the field. I mean, he was out on an island, just him and the quicker wide receiver. And
it looked like Brandon Philo, the safety, one-on-one with Smith, able to trip him up. And now it's 4th down. And interestingly, Mark McElroy going to pass on the field goal, leave the offense out there. Now here comes Freem.
Yeah, you got to.
This will be a 26-yarder, and a field goal here makes it an 8-point game. It's still one score, but you put the Griffins in a situation where they need the touchdown and the 2 just to tie it up.
And that's kind of why I had to wonder if Grossmont would go for 2 the last time. It was a little bit early to start chasing the points, as they say.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Freem misses from 26 yards out. Well, we saw Albertson miss his first field goal this season. And now Freem, who had been 12 for 14, misses a 26-yarder. From the left hash, he misses it wide right.
Yeah, and the Gauchos had been cruising along for so many weeks now with, really good special teams play, and that they've kind of deteriorated here in the second half of this one.
And this is worth pointing out that the Gauchos have really not been involved in any particularly close games this year. Their victories have been one-sided, and their losses have been fairly one-sided throughout the season as well. This is one of the very few close games they've been in.
Yeah,
Apt over the middle looking for Davis, and it's broken up.
Probably the closest game they've been in was week 2 against Ventura.
Yep, absolutely.
Because wasn't that a 1-point game in the fourth quarter?
Yep, and it was a couple of late touchdowns to turn it into a 15-point game, but the Gauchos were in it in the fourth quarter. Jackson breaking up that pass intended for Davis, a 2nd and 10 under 9 minutes to go.
In the Gaucho game against Pasadena City, if I recall, it was fairly close late second quarter.
Yep.
And then the Gauchos just kind of stepped on the gas and blew them out 51-21.
Apt screens it out, completes to Linton. Linton brought down near the 30-yard line. They'll spot it at the 28. That'll bring up a critical 3rd and 2.
Yeah, this is the biggest play of the game right now for the Gaucho defense. And if you're Grossmont, do you go back to the well and try to run the ball, or?
Johnny Roberts able to make the tackle on Linton. I don't know how you don't go with Burnett on that right side on a 3rd and 2. Burnett running right, hit behind the line, trying to churn his legs, but he's not going to get there. That is about 6 or 7 Gaucho tacklers flying to the football. And they had that play well diagnosed. Well, it's not an accident why I'm not an offensive coordinator.
What's been very close for Grossmont to working tonight is that little screen play, that middle screen. I mean, they've run that 2 or 3 times where it looked like it really had something, and a Gaucho came up and made a tackle, or in the one case, the running back dropped the ball.
Yep.
And, to me, that would have been a perfect opportunity for that play right there. Everybody's selling out on the run, and you just let them come in, and you just throw right underneath, right over the top of them. And
well, the Gauchos with a big stand on 3rd down. That'll bring on Albertson. High kick. Innocenzi makes the fair catch at the 38-yard line. That is a kick of 34 yards. No return. And Albertson hasn't really had a big night punting the football, though a couple of returns in the second half have bedeviled the Gauchos and allowed the Griffins to get fully back into this one. They'll spot it at the 39, 35, 30, 7:31 to go in the fourth quarter. And now Robbie Patterson and the Gaucho offense coming on. And boy, if you're a Gaucho fan, you'd love to see a big play here push this one back out to 2 scores.
Yeah, they've kind of got the turnover bug here in the second half, the muff punt, and then, of course, the one punt that went off the back of one of your return guys. And
read option. Patterson on the keeper into the secondary. He's into Grossmont territory before he's finally brought down at the 37-yard line. That's a 24-yard run. Patterson's over 50 yards rushing tonight. Had the 29-yard touchdown run in the first half and another big play with his feet.
That's a good way to start your drive right there.
And they'll work quickly. Scheiberl again in motion. This time it's Scheiberl on the sweep with a lane. He's at the 30, 25 on the far side. He's inside the 20 before he's finally forced out of bounds at the 18-yard line. That's a 19-yard run. Back-to-back big plays for the Gauchos.
Yeah, and suddenly plays that were getting 2 or 3 yards in the first half are now getting chunks of yardage, and that tells me the Grossmont defense might be getting a little bit tired out there.
They go back to the jet sweep again. Scheiberl breaking tackles, and he's tripped up after a gain of about a yard. Deshell Johnson able to bring him down.
You have all this action, though, right around the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Guys cutting back, guys blocking, and then you got a guy like Patterson who rolls out, and then there's a guy wide open downfield because the safeties are coming up into the box trying to stop the run. And Grossmont continues to get sucked into it seems, every single time.
Yeah, the Scheiberl, they're running him on that jet sweep every single play, it would seem. And right now, it's causing problems. Patterson, short drop, screens it out to Reeves. Reeves hit behind the line. Collins.
That's a good play by the guy out there on the edge.
Yeah, Bryson Collins coming up and able to wrap up Reeves back at the 20-yard line. That's a loss on the play. And it makes it third down and call it 12.
Gauchos might get another opportunity for that field goal here.
Yeah,
if they don't get the first down. It'll be interesting to see if Mark McElroy goes for it this time.
From 26 yards, and that is unlike Matthew Freem. Certainly this season he's had a very good season. But missed the chip shot there. 3rd and 12. 5.5 to go. Patterson against the blitz. Pop flies, looking for Barry, who can't quite run it down.
Yeah, he had a half step, and Patterson just overthrew him by about 1.5 feet. Barry's not a particularly big guy. If it maybe it had been a 6'2" wide receiver, maybe he had it.
Yeah, Perry is, I think, very hot. No doubt wanting another crack at that ball. Just couldn't quite run it down as he heads off the field. And the Gauchos, after a couple of big runs, get into the red zone, but the drive stalls, and here comes Freem to try from 37 yards out, just inside the right hash. Good snap, placement down, Freem's kick, plenty of leg. And it's good. So Freem drills it from 37, and the Gauchos back out to a 8-point lead, 38-30 with 5:21 to go here in the fourth quarter.
That's the mark of a good kicker right there. He's got a short memory, goes right back out there a couple minutes later, puts it right down the middle, and now the Gauchos are in a pretty good situation with an 8-point lead. There's no way you can lose the game on the next drive.
Right, absolutely, yep. And I think if you're the Gauchos, I think you just have to avoid the big run. I think is really it's been the Griffins' primary offense is when they've been able to get one of their running backs through that initial front line and into the secondary. That's where the big plays have come.
The problem is with 5:20 left, if you're running the football, it means you only got one drive.
Yeah.
You know, you really can ill afford to come up empty if you're going to run the football. You got to have a big play, and if you pass the ball and come up empty, maybe you get 2 drives.
Big return for Burnett. Able to get the near sideline out past the 30 to the 30. Well, let's wait and see where they're going to spot this. I think they're going to give him the 39. Nope, the 35. So Burnett, with a very good return, sets the Griffins up at their own 35-yard line. Update the score for you momentarily. It's 38-30. The Gauchos with an 8-point lead. 5:12 to go in the ball game as Apt brings the Griffin offense back on the field. Short drop, Apt pop flies the far side, and it's incomplete.
One other score out there. College of the Canyons just keeps rolling along. They win 34-7 over Long Beach City, and that defense for the Cougars is really, really tough.
Well, we had their game last week, and they limited the Pirates to 7 points. And that is, I've been covering Pirate football for several years now, and that is an extremely rare, if not non-existent, result. You never see the Pirates limited to that kind of point total. Another pass incomplete. Looking for Summers, and it's quickly 3rd and 10.
That's Cerritos. Palomar starting to tighten up a little bit. Fourth quarter now, Palomar up a touchdown, 42-35. I don't think anybody saw that coming. That's a high-scoring affair for those two teams.
And the Falcons badly in need of a victory there. Is it the Falcons that have the inside track in the Central? Do you recall looking at the
I do not remember. Well,
at
it
the
was El
standings there,
Camino
El
as of
Camino.
this morning, but
Yeah.
not anymore.
Well, they lost earlier, and now.
Yeah, but El Camino is probably not going to lose that game at the end of the day.
Yep.
Because that's going to end up being a forfeit, right? So they're going to play Cerritos in all likelihood for somebody next weekend for a chance at the playoffs.
Third down pass intended for Summers is incomplete. 3 incompletions. And the Griffins now face a 4th and 10 from the 35, and they will elect to punt it away. See if their defense can give it back to them. 4:59 to go.
I think that's been one of the problems with Grossmont all season long, is that their defense has given up so many points that they're not really a great come-from-behind team. I mean, we saw them kind of do it here tonight. I mean, they made it close, and the Gauchos, I think it was more the Gauchos just not executing that well versus Grossmont playing great, but they don't seem to have that ability, much like Orange Coast a few weeks ago, to come from behind.
Innocenzi makes the fair catch at the 32-yard line after Albertson's punt of 33 yards. So here come the Gauchos, and they could go a long way toward putting it away, even with just a couple of first downs. But you have the feeling in this one, I think if the Gauchos can avoid a disastrous turnover, the way that this one has played out, I think they can finish this one off and get the victory. I think right now what they need to avoid is giving away the short field with a disastrous play.
Yeah, that's kind of been their bugaboo tonight. The couple of turnovers on the special teams, and the offense has been spotty. At times they've looked really good, and at times they haven't. They've run the ball quite a bit more here down the stretch in the fourth quarter. But with Grossmont's inability to really score quickly, I think, like you said, you just don't want to turn it over. If you get a couple of first downs, this game is pretty much over.
They'll come out with Johnson and Jefferson in the backfield, so this about as close to a jumbo package as you get for the Gauchos here in 2018 offset I formation. And it's Jefferson, the deep back, on the left side. Out past the 25 to the 29, 5-yard gain on first down.
And that's a pretty good gain on first down if you're the Gauchos. If you're Grossmont, you got to figure the Gauchos are going to run the football.
In a one-score game, you can't get too comfortable if you're Grossmont selling out for the run, because you'll still see plays like that. For example, a play action, they go to Johnson for the completion. But obviously at this point, for the Gauchos, the best way to put this game away would be to make a big play on offense, score a quick touchdown here, and make it a 2-score game.
Yeah, you'd like to do that. I don't see the Gauchos taking a lot of shots downfield here.
Yeah, on third and short.
If you're going to throw the ball, you want to throw a high percentage pass.
Yep.
And keep the clock rolling.
Yep. And Patterson on the keeper, able to get the first down. They'll stop the clock to move the chains. But the Gauchos, with a fresh set of downs, now have it 1st and 10 at their own 35. So Johnson remains in the game as they go with a 2-by-2 formation, receivers left and right. A little bit of movement from Kyrie Woods, but is it the Gauchos who are going to pick up the false start? Well, as Woods giving a little bluff on that defensive line, and no, they'll get Kyrie Woods. So the offsides on the Griffins makes it 1st and 5 from the 40. We're going to get Mike Cepeda joining us for the last few minutes here.
Mike's been the hardest working guy in the stadium tonight. I've never seen Mike work so hard.
That is, I'm telling you, it's every week. Believe me, I know it. Johnson through a big hole. He's into Grossmont territory down to the 39-yard line. 21-yard rumble for Jerome Johnson.
Got to feel pretty good for the former Griffin right there.
And a nice job by that offensive line up front. That was a good-size hole for Jerome Johnson, and he didn't miss it.
Grossmont defense is just starting to get worn out now.
Play action, quick screen to Reeves, and Reeves dropped it. Is this a live football? No, they'll call it incomplete. Well, that's a break. That was close. Bryson Collins again in the area.
Hey there, boys.
Michael. Well, we'll definitely want to talk about some of our thank yous as always. So we'll start with you, Michael, producing the broadcast tonight. And thanks. I know it was a challenging night, as it sometimes is for us here. But hey, you kept the train on the tracks here.
Well, I don't know if it started on the tracks. I don't know if it's going to end on the tracks, but we're going to make do.
You got it onto the tracks. Hey, that was important.
Again, everyone, thank you for your patience. And we had some difficulties with our broadcasting vehicle, YouTube. Wow.
Collins nearly intercepts that ball intended for Yasir Berry.
Yeah, that's a why they play defense ball right there.
Yeah.
That was a very fortunate break there for the Gauchos that he didn't come up with that.
3rd down and 10 coming up.
One other thank you. How about Matt Henson putting together all the graphics that you see on screen?
Every graphic you ever see on any of our broadcasts, and that's the work of Matt Henson, and we couldn't do it without
certainly
him.
Not us.
Yeah. No, I think my graphics were pretty primitive. on the day. You're like a Picasso compared to me on that stuff. That's no great compliment, but Matt is.
And I'm like stick figures compared to
yeah, exactly.
Van Gogh.
It's all levels, isn't it?
Matt Henson Van Gogh.
I think I could handle text on a single colored background. That was the extent of my artistic ability.
Well, going back to our issues earlier today, for those that were looking for the Grossmont Saddleback game earlier at the start, we did miss, I believe, a couple scores. And again, we apologize. You saw I think a little bit of the Allen Hancock, L.A. Pierce doubleheader SCFA coverage here today in Week 10 on SoCalCollegeSports.com.
Want to thank Jorge Zepeda down on the field camera as always, and Jorge does a great job getting us shots down there. This one off of a Griffin player. This is a live football out of bounds, and it looks like Grossmont will keep it. And that is significant in a game that is still a one-score game as you watch the replay here. And this goes off of the Grossmont player.
I think the two Gauchos that were down there didn't see it.
O'Shea Wade.
Bounce off the Grossmont guy.
Yeah, trying to get out of the way there, and it looks like it grazed him, but it ends up going out of bounds. And now the Griffins with a Joe Montana Super Bowl 23 special here, just 91 yards to go here to tie this one up.
Under a minute?
Well, they got a little more time than that, but on the other hand, to be fair, I don't think Joe Montana is down there. Not going to often see that, I suppose.
I think that's very fair.
Apt looking left on the slant. It's incomplete. He wanted Linton, and Linton can't come down with it. Olubi had the coverage.
Yeah, Olubi was breaking early on that play, and it looked as if he was potentially thinking 6 for himself right there.
Well, we saw Jacob Rosar with a catch of 28 yards in the first half. He had 3 catches. I haven't seen much of him out there in the second half at all, number 13, and it's possible that he has been deemed unavailable here in the second half. He did play in the first half, but I don't recall seeing number 13 out there.
Well, if he
in
has
the second
been,
half.
He hasn't been very involved. That's clear.
Well, that we definitely know. Second down and 10. Blitz coming. Apt away from pressure, but he is hit at the line. Managed to get forward for about a yard, but a third down and 9 coming up. As you watch here, the Gauchos really just coming after Brady Apt.
Yeah, to me, that's been the difference in the game. Robbie Patterson shows the ability to break containment and break you down with his legs.
Yep.
Apt hasn't had that ability to do that, or he's just not comfortable with it. I'm not sure which it is.
Yeah, Leo Tamba eventually wraps up Apt, who was, again, targeted to possibly be a redshirt this year, but really pressed into action after injuries for Grossmont to starting quarterback Josh Harris and backup Anthony Posada. So here's a guy who was third string, ends up being the starter for much of this season. And, well, I guess if you're Brady Apt looking forward to next season, this is no doubt going to be valuable experience as he looks at continuing his career.
Yeah, I'm looking down on that Gaucho sidelines right now, and you know, the player that was injured in the first half, Brandon Smith, the offensive guard.
Yep.
And my first fear when I see a guy getting carried off is that maybe he's got an ACL or something like that, but I'm thinking that maybe that's not what the case is. It looks like it, perhaps might be a high ankle sprain or something like that. I mean, there's no crutches. He's not walking on crutches, so I think clearly it's not a knee injury, which is maybe the best news that you could possibly want.
Tenez Davis with the reception, but he's pushed out at the 15, and that brings up 4th down, 2:18 to go. And I think Michael Jordan has to, at this point, take the gamble deep in his own territory and go for it on 4th down.
It almost looks like they're taping his ankle of some sort down there, Brandon Smith.
Quick snap to Apt. They want Burnett on the right side, but flags come in, and
Early
I believe that the Griffins are going to back themselves up here. And 4th and 5, 4th and 6 will become 4th and 11.
I mean, that's essentially a shotgun to the foot.
Yeah, that's not good right there. When biggest time of the game, and you got 2 minutes left. And
want to pass along a special thanks also to Dan Kloss joining us in the third quarter. And obviously, it goes without saying, this wouldn't happen without Dan's efforts as well to make sure that this is made available for Gaucho fans and Griffin fans here tonight. So our thanks, and Dan taking the time to sit and talk with us as well, so we appreciate that.
Well, boys, I know you guys were talking about potential playoff matchups coming up in the SCFA.
Apt throwing on 4th down, and it's incomplete. Wanted Linton on the slant. He was well short of the first down anyway, but the incompletion will turn it over on downs to Saddleback, and now the Gauchos can go a long way toward just running this one out with 1:35 to go.
Yeah, and obviously, there's one more week to be played. Big matchup here in the South with Saddleback and Riverside, 2 undefeated teams in conference. Go to battle next week, and well, Brad, how do you like the matchup? It's okay if you don't.
You're going to put me on the spot there on that one, and being the voice of the Gauchos, that I got to tell you, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I just think Riverside, I've said it all season long, I think they're the best team in the southern half of the state. That's just my opinion. I think it's a very, very difficult matchup for the Gauchos because
Scheiberl inside the 5 toward the pylon, and he's out at the 1 foot line.
Because I believe that Riverside does things well in a matchup standpoint. One thing we saw with Mount Sac was that they were a big physical running football team, and that's the kind of football team that Riverside is. They can just come after you, and they're not going to mind running it 25 times in a row. And you better be able to step up and stop them, otherwise they're just going to steamroll you. And that's what they've been doing to teams all season long. And on the other side of the field, they've got the physical athletes in the secondary to match up with your wide receivers. They're not afraid of you. Let's put it that way. And so I think a lot of things are going to have to go right for the Gauchos to go out to the 9-5-1 and win. But stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
The Gauchos have played Riverside tough in years past. And the problem is that they've generally gotten themselves into a little bit of a track meet and just couldn't keep pace.
Short touchdown run, and the Gauchos have now put this one out of reach at 45-30 with 1:21 to go.
Well, let's keep it here, and let's kind of pounce on that a little bit. I think Saddleback has displayed an ability to put some points on the board, and if anything, I think the Mount Sac matchup early in the year, I think that helps this team in terms of what they know that they're going to have to beat and be up against the final game of the regular season. So I think you're exactly right. Anything can happen. Decided favorite Riverside next week. But
well, when you've been hearing all season long that you're not going to beat Riverside, you're not going to beat Riverside, Riverside's great, Riverside is ranked number whatever, the Gauchos have had a big mountain to climb to get to that point. And like we've talked about all season, 19, 20-year-old kids, they can get full of themselves throughout the course of the year. And, somebody like Riverside maybe comes in a little bit overconfident that they're going to win that football game. But, the Gauchos have won 4 in a row. I just don't know how that happens. I don't know how Riverside gets overconfident. It's the biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
You would expect that both teams are going to be bringing their best.
Obviously, health is going to play a factor in that one as well. Which team is going to be more healthy, who's going to be available, best availability, of course.
Yeah, I think the Gauchos are going to have to take some chances. They're going to have to make some plays. Special teams are going to have to be really solid and perhaps get some turnovers, strip the ball. And, stranger things have happened. The quarterback for Riverside has had a great year, Stone Smart.
Yeah.
But if he goes out and he stinks it up for 2 quarters, and you've got a football game going into the 4th quarter, anything can happen.
Well, I think you hit on what I think one of the central points for next week potentially could be, and that is the matchup of these Saddleback wide receivers against the secondary of Riverside. A secondary that has been attackable this season. Watching a little bit of the coverage of the Grossmont game, and Nick Rice, the terrific announcer for Riverside, talking about that the Tigers have had some struggles in the air against opposing offenses, and so perhaps there's an opportunity for Patterson and these wide receivers to get some work done. Certainly they'll have to if they want to stay in the game against a very formidable Tiger offense.
Yeah, and like I said, I think turnovers are going to play a big part in that. I mean, they've got to go out there and be able to force and get a couple extra possessions.
Yeah.
Because Riverside is a team that can just strike so quickly and they can score in bunches.
And Derrico and Cooper have a little more size. Yasir Berry is a guy, is a deep threat, maybe physically, could be taken out potentially by a bigger secondary as Apt is sacked again. Goges with another sack. That's his second tonight. Meanwhile, a little bit of jawing after, and you hate to see that, of course, very late in a very hotly contested game that was very well played from both teams. A really great effort from both programs.
Yeah,
Brett-
you don't want to see that from Saddleback guys either,
No.
because they got another game to play
Yeah,
next week.
absolutely.
Grossmont's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Last thing you want to do is lose a player for next week because of something silly that happens with 33 seconds left in the game.
Anyway, going back to the point, it's a nice mix, I think, where you have Barry, who is a tremendous threat down the field, a guy who seems to be able to get behind defenses so effectively, but Derrico and Cooper provide a little more of a possession aspect, a little more size over on the outside as well for the Gauchos, and perhaps that's something that Gaucho fans can look to.
Well, in week 2, they didn't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Yasir Berry, who had a great start to the season, and they were looking for other guys.
Yep.
And fortunately, and I think along with Robbie Patterson, really
Yep.
had a lot to prove when it came to week 3 or 4. And I think the turnaround in Robbie Patterson and the emergence of guys like Derrico gives them a puncher's chance going out to Riverside.
Yeah.
You know, but you got to make some plays, and you got to play the best game of your lives and leave it all out on the field.
Brad, have we arrived at any clarity in terms of the playoff situation with Fullerton still in the mix and undefeated?
The only thing I've heard is that
I mean,
Fullerton
do
is
they get a
going-
bowl game or do they not get any postseason, or how's that going to play out?
Well, from what I understand, Fullerton is going to have to forfeit every game.
Okay.
And for one reason or another, they have opted not to forfeit those games yet, and they have not been forced to forfeit those games yet. But ultimately, everybody knows that those are all going to be losses. And so everybody is, now they are literally playing for second place in that division, because second place is going to become first place.
So who's first place?
I don't even know right now. The Palomar just beat Cerritos
Palomar,
tonight.
Cerritos, wow.
And El Camino lost to Fullerton, but that's not going to be a loss. So
Right.
it looks like it might come down to El Camino might have to beat Cerritos next weekend.
Well, they've reset the game clock to 18 seconds with Grossmont really just trying to run out the clock here and get out of here. So this is going to be a 45-30 final as soon as the Griffins can run one more play.
Well, assuming everything holds, I think the only variables that we know is that Canyons is going to be your one, and Ventura's very likely going to be your wild card.
Here's my question. If the Gauchos go to Riverside and they beat the Tigers, does that knock the Tigers out of the playoffs, or does that knock Ventura out of the playoffs?
It might knock Ventura out of the playoffs. Obviously, we don't know how the formula is ultimately decided.
Well,
but
it's tough because they
Yeah.
both have a win in terms of the forfeit versus Fullerton. Both teams played Fullerton. They
Yeah.
get that win back. How does it come? How is that going to shake
yeah,
out?
because the Pirates then would have a loss
Right.
to Canyons, and Riverside
And
would
then,
have
and
the
then,
at the
and
end of the day-
then it comes to strength of schedule, and
Yep.
then who beat who, and
Yep.
yeah, no, I mean, if Saddleback wins next week at Riverside, that's going to be
Somebody's gonna
quite
be
the
very
free for all.
Yeah,
disappointed.
it's very,
Well,
very close.
I got to
It's,
tell you, the SCFA, there is no shortage of disappointment. Look at last year, Canyons
Yeah.
just missing out on the Final Four, getting a matchup at Mount Sac, which they beat, and that's a team that gave Fullerton everything they wanted and more last year.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Canyons doing this all with a backup QB.
Yeah.
So
Wyatt
that makes
Egan
it that,
has
that
been,
makes it even.
sensational.
He's been fantastic. Wyatt Egan and that defense.
The defense
Just unreal.
is
We're
off
talking
the
about
charts.
you were over working on the game here, but talking about we've covered Ventura football for 6 or 7 years. That's the lowest point total I've ever seen the Pirates put up.
Yeah.
7 points. I mean, it's a remarkable achievement, even at home. And the Pirates didn't do themselves any favors in the game, but you give the Canyons defense all the credit in the world. They're the ones that forced 6 turnovers.
Yeah, well, it's the first game of the year for the Gauchos. And
Yep.
they had a lot of problems offensively. The Gauchos only scored 6.
Yeah.
And
Well,
at the time,
now
people-
that makes a lot more sense.
it makes a
Once you
lot
watch
more sense. Yeah,
Canyons play
it was
all
a
season long.
19-6 game. It wasn't exactly a blowout,
Yep,
but
yep.
Canyons showed then they got defense, and again tonight only giving up 7. They're showing that now they've got defense, and when you got a defense, you're going to be in every football game.
Well, I don't think officials get paid by the hour, but we've still been on 18 seconds here for quite a bit. And
Well,
now
we
it
know-
looks like they're finally going to be able to run this final play out.
We know the state championship up in the north this year at Sac State. And one thing we know very well, defense does travel.
Yeah.
So
Go just giving chase again.
That's
Another sack on Apt, and perhaps there is no more apt way to finish it than go just finishing it off, wrapping up Brady Apt for the sack, and indeed that will take it to the final score of 45-30. The Gauchos moving to 6-3 on the season. They remain perfect in the Southern Conference. Next week they travel to Riverside. Playoff spot on the line when they take on Riverside City College. For everybody involved with SoCalCollegeSports.com, thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week in coverage of our 3 games. Check our website, SoCalCollegeSports.com, to learn more about our schedule moving forward. So long, everybody.